Welcome. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
You're listening to the Jam Session Podcast.
I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
With Cowboys insider...
What's your name?
Jean-Jacques Taylor.
That's my name.
Radio personality and craft beer expert, Matt McLaren.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing.
And now, the Jam Session Podcast.
It is indeed Jam Session. Subscribe, rate, and review, and hang out with us for a while. Right here on the Jam Session Podcast. The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, the radio, TV, and now podcast star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor.
What up, dog?
I would be the non-sexy one, Matt McLaren. And this is Jam Session, the podcast, version 19, asking simply that you prepare to be dazzled.
If not entertained.
And of course, we always like to dazzle and entertain you, as do our sponsors. We couldn't do this without them. And we encourage you guys to support our sponsors as they support us. We want to give a shout out to Blue Star Motor Group, specializing in superior quality Carfax certified pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. And how about this rare find, Jock? A 2020 Camaro 2SS 1LE track performance package with only 369 miles on it. So basically a brand new car, right? It's showroom condition. The MSRP on this thing was over $50,000. They've got it right now at Blue Star Motor Group for $44,991.
Dude, I'm so, like for real, man. See, sometimes this is bad. Like you view this as a confirmation from God, because I've been looking at a Camaro, bro. For real. That's because my daughter's got a Camaro.
This is awesome.
I've driven it from time to time, and I've been thinking about giving my dude my car and getting a new one.
No way.
No, for real. Now,
well, you know where you can go? Blue Star Motor Group. Seriously, they've got a showroom condition, brand new Camaro, essentially, right now. You can check them out on their website at bluestarmotorgroup.com. Or, you know what, Jacques? I know that you're at your desk, so get your pen ready, because you can call Deb at 817-881-4066. 817-881-4066. That's bluestarmotorgroup.com. Check them out on Instagram, and you can see their entire inventory there on their website at bluestarmotorgroup.com. I'll tell you this, I bet if you go and buy the Camaro, they'll be advertising for life.
Yeah.
So you may have to check that out.
That's a hell of a price. Still a little too pricey for me, but that's a hell of a price right there.
Well, I'm sure they have some other ones they can help you find.
Dude, I like them because they zoom, they go.
They do, man. Also, False Idol Brewing, of course, we will be out there later this afternoon. They did the Jam Session IPA, and you can find a variety of great beers on the wall at their tap room. It's right there in North Richlands Hills, or just look for them at your favorite growler bar. Or if you go somewhere to drink a beer and they don't have False Idol on, just ask them. You guys should be carrying False Idol brews. You can see their lineup on their website, but Instagram really with these guys is the way to go. They're updating that every day with what new beers they have, specials they have going on. False Idol Brewing in North Richlands Hills. Our next sponsor, Freeway Tire Shop. Easy to get to in Dallas. For somebody like Jacques, whenever you get your brand new Camaro from Blue Star Motor Group, you can just drive it over to JR when you need to get that oil changed or a state inspection, alignment. They do general mechanic work. And of course, Freeway Tire Shop, they sell tires. Competitive pricing, elite customer service, and they will take care of the Jam Session audience, so hit them up today. You can check them out at freewaytireshop.com. Schedule an appointment, request a quote. Again, that's freewaytireshop.com. So let's get this thing rolling here. I know many of you will be listening to this on Friday the 13th as we lead in to the Cowboys bye week. They are 2-7. 9 down, 7 to go. And when you look at this, we're going to break it down in a couple of ways. We're going to take a look at the offense first, because this is a team, I don't think I'm breaking news here when we kind of discussed that this season has gone away that nobody expected it to. But man, when you kind of look at it and you break it down by unit and you take a look at the offense, I can say that ever since Dak has gone down, he's like the Sean Lee, the old Sean Lee of the defense. When Sean used to go down and the defense fell apart. I mean, without Dak, this offense is nothingness. It's crap. It's one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
Yeah, which is, it shouldn't be that bad, but it is. I think they've got 2 touchdowns and 47 possessions without Dak. This is a team that was moving up and down the field, scoring 4 and 5 touchdowns a game, averaging almost, 36 points, 32 points and 400 yards a game with Dak. And they've just fallen by the wayside, man. Ben DiNucci was a disaster. Andy Dalton wasn't much better against Washington. I don't know how much of that was on him and how much of that was on the offensive line's inability to protect him and make him feel comfortable. And then obviously Garrett Gilbert was better last week. It still resulted in an L. He made some costly mistakes. And now, after the bye week, the Cowboys have said Andy Dalton's their guy for the foreseeable future. To me, that means until you're officially eliminated from the playoff contention, in which case then you need to turn it over to Garrett Gilbert and really see what he can do and whether he's a viable option for your backup quarterback. But I'd say in general, man, it was terrific with Dak at quarterback. It's been a disaster since then.
Yeah, it's really been unfortunate because Dak and his ability, and this is what I think is interesting. I mean, let's not forget, it's not like Lyle Collins was playing when Dak was the quarterback. You know, he was missing pieces on the offensive line. But with Dak in there, you got to see what a good quarterback, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL can do, even with the shoddy offensive line, move the ball down the field, make some good throws, and still consistently have the offense perform. Now, yes, I'll be right there with you when you talk about some of the throws that were intercepted or some of the fumbles maybe that Zeke had. Those have still been a problem. The interceptions, the fumbles, and the offense shooting itself in the foot. The problem was with Dak, when the offense would turn the ball over, they were good enough to where, okay, let's just get out there and score again and at least keep ourselves in the game. Right. Now you're seeing without Dak, if the offense turns the ball over or can't convert third downs, they don't have a chance in hell of scoring, much less getting a touchdown. They're pulling out 55, 59-yard field goals.
Dude, it's terrible. So now I think the biggest thing is this whole quarterback disaster area has shown everybody, yeah, you thought Dak was really good. Well, now you know. Any doubts you had should have been removed by now, and he's the guy.
Yeah, and you look at some of the other parts of this is the quarterbacking obviously is not going to be anywhere near where it could have been had Dak stayed healthy. Trust me, I know. He was my fantasy quarterback, and my team has just dropped off a map. But you look at it along the offensive line. At the beginning of the year coming into this thing, we knew Lyle Collins was going to have a problem. I don't think anybody at the time coming in thought he was going to miss the entire season. You were hoping maybe 3 or 4 games because they put him on IR. But again, this is a unique season in which IR means you only have to miss 3 games. Right. So originally we were all thinking, okay, he's going to miss 3 games. That's okay. He'll come back and they'll be fine. Tyron Smith, obviously, thought maybe he'd miss a couple of games. Next thing you know, he's out for the season. Travis Frederick retired in the offseason, which probably surprised everybody. So all of a sudden, for the most part, you know, we saw Joe Looney in there because Biadasz got hurt and he's going to maybe miss a couple of games now. But at one point, they're starting an undrafted rookie free agent at right tackle in Terrence Steele, who's been horrible. You have a rookie 4th-round pick in Tyler Biadasz, who's playing for you. And then, of course, one game, Connor McGovern was making his first snaps of his NFL career out there. And you combine all that with the fact that you no longer have Dak, it's not surprising to me that even with the receivers and the running back that this team has, if nobody can block for you, Zeke is showing he can't do it. And if nobody can block for you and give you time, especially at the quarterback options right now, I don't care if you have Jerry Rice and Randy Moss as your receivers. It's not going to matter.
And now, friends, you understand why they kept taking offensive linemen in the first round. Now, you can say they went overboard with draft capital, but the whole point was if we build an elite offensive line, all of our other weapons on offense are that much better. And you saw that, man, because now you see the difference between an elite offensive line and a bad offensive line. And that's what it has been. Zach Martin obviously helps a ton when he's out there because it gives you leadership and it gives you supreme play. But the offensive line, more than any other spot, man, is 5 guys working as one. And when you got one guy off, Terrence Steele, it's just hard to perform. Now, I got to tell you this, Matt. I've had a conversation with myself about this. And here it is. I'm not really mad at Terrence Steele. It ain't Terrence Steele's fault that Terrence Steele is out there playing.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not like he just runs out there. Right.
injuries thrust him into a spot that he wasn't ready for. Now, he's supposed to play, but, he's doing the best he can. But think about it, man. He showed up in training camp as probably the 5th or 6th tackle on the team, maybe the 7th tackle. And now he's been thrust into the limelight and he's got to play. And so it's not really his fault that he's not any good. I mean, that'll make people feel better. But, you'll have a certain segment that says, well, he's a professional. He needs to get out and play. Next man up. And, me and Matt try to tell y'all all the time, there's a reason why the next man up wasn't playing to start with. And now you're like, next man up, next man up, next man up, next man up, next man up. Okay, still, you're up now. Well, hell, I mean, what do you really expect if you're keeping it real? I mean, it's like if you asked me to go teach a pre-calculus class.
Yeah.
What do you really expect me to do? I mean, how much do you really expect these kids to learn?
Nothing, honestly.
Nothing, really. Because I ain't never done it. I ain't no good at it. It's not my deal.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, you got to be mad at somebody, but Terrence Steele is just out there because of circumstance, and they don't have a viable option to get him off the field right now.
Yeah, they don't, and that's what's so unfortunate about this offense is, and it's funny now it is, because you take a look back before the season, and I think we even did an entire segment on this while we were still on the radio. You look at it before the season, we were sitting here going, man, the Cowboys are going to wind up as I think it was the 4th team ever with 3 1,000-yard wide receivers. And we're like, man, how are they going to distribute this? You've got Lamb and you've got obviously Michael Gallup and then Amari Cooper and Blake Jarwin's going to come in and have a season. Well, Blake Jarwin goes down, then the offensive line problems, then Dak goes down. And now you're looking at it with the quarterback play and the line the way that it is and their inability really to effectively run the ball. I don't know if they're going to have one 1,000-yard wide receiver.
Oh, that's very true. And that just shows you how, you could take it even deeper, man. How much money it's going to cost Michael Gallup because his numbers, nobody's going to sit there and say, oh, you're a 500-yard receiver, so poo. But they can go, well, based on your other 2 years, you're about 1,100-yard, 1,000-yard receiver. Well, what if he continued his pace this year? He had 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns or whatever. That's a different kind of payday, bro. And so these circumstances have actually cost him some money.
Yeah, they have. I mean, he's on pace for a little over 800 yards this year. But again, he was showing up a lot better with Dak in the lineup than he has certainly with the last couple of games that we've seen. I mean, Ben DiNucci was at least targeting him, but they were just turning around and throwing it to him for like 1 or 2 yard gains. Amari Cooper
emerged as the deep guy.
Right. He was supposed to be. We haven't seen that since Andy Dalton hit him deep on that pass when he came in the game that Dak went down. Amari Cooper is on pace right now. He's got 655. CeeDee Lamb has 595. So those guys at one point were looking like they might get to 1,000 yards. But I think we all know, based on what we have seen, again, it's a small sample size without Dak, but I have absolutely zero faith in this offense to put up big numbers, to get the job done, which is part of the reason why it's hard when you look at this thing to figure out where wins are going to come from, because this team just struggles to score. We saw it against the Steelers. Yeah, they played better. They still only scored 1 touchdown.
Well, yeah, because they struggle in the red zone. And, it's hard for them to do anything consistency because they got so many spare parts in there that the spare parts screw up, man. It's what they do. And so the more you have back there, the more your odds are geared for screwing up.
So we shall see, but it has not been as we enter the bye week. And this is what's so weird is because a couple of weeks ago, before Dak went down, I think you'd look at this and you go, man, the offense, I think I got to give them, maybe you give them a B+ because of the turnovers, so you can't give them an A, but they were moving the ball. They were putting up a ton of points. Minus Dak, with everything happening, I give this offense an F.
Wow, it's hard not to say that though when you go 47 possessions and score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I
mean, it just is what it is, man. So it's you get no production, no consistent production from quarterback. The offense is committed. What is it? The league leading 20 turnovers. Mm-hmm. They're minus 13. On the turnover differential. Those are all losing numbers, man. And the third downs have suffered because they've been in more situations with long yardage on third down because they struggle to run the ball on first and second down without Dak in there. I mean, it's all kind of snowball, man. and it's all moved into this, turn this offense into something that was special into something that needs some help to really thrive and be successful.
Yeah, you mentioned the turnovers, and again, they do lead the league with 20 turnovers. They are on pace at their current rate to turn the ball over 36 times, which would be the most they've had in a single season since Bill Parcells was here. They went 6-10 in 2004 and turned it over 37 times.
Wow, did they?
Yep, and that was with Vinny Testaverde. He threw 17 picks. They had 19 on the season and lost. Somehow, they lost 18 fumbles that season.
I got to tell you something, bro. I covered that entire year. I must have burned that year from my memory with turnovers.
Yeah, because that's impressive. Before that, you got to go all the way back to 1989 when they had 42 turnovers. So there's a chance, if they can get past 37, that we haven't seen this since that 1-15 team in 89.
I say go for greatness.
Why
That's
not?
Just me.
Why not?
Be special.
I agree with you. So let's continue here with you on Jam Session. Jean-Jacques Taylor, Matt McLaren. Of course, as always, we invite you to find us on YouTube. Jacques doing a couple of YouTube lives during the week where you can jump on and ask him Cowboys questions. We, of course, will be doing our YouTube live later this afternoon. If you're listening on Friday the 13th on November, we will be out live at 4 o'clock at Oak Highlands Brewery in the Lake Highlands area. You can come out, sit down, watch the show, or just watch it on YouTube Live. But if you can make it out there, it's right just north of 635 off Miller Road. Over there, kind of in the Garland area. It's technically Dallas, but you guys know what I mean. So get on over there, have a beer with us. We'd love to see you out there. Also, this is awesome because I literally, while we're doing the podcast, I just got a tweet, and I think you were copied on it as well, Jacques.
Oh?
We tell you about these wings that are available at Kroger. And it was a guy, his Twitter is Just a Working Man. Says, podcast on, first lunch ready, nice work, Kroger. And it's a picture of a plate of wings. I'm telling you, man, the wings are good. Multiple times a week, people on Twitter hit me up and go, man, you weren't kidding around. You've had them. You know they're good.
Yeah, I tend to put mine in the air fryer. I'm more of a, what do you call it? The buffalo blue cheese.
Yeah.
Blue cheese kind of guy. But I like the mango habanero. And since I now have a new patio, I've got to go get a grill.
Wow.
We'll actually, that has to be a segment sometime in the next couple of weeks because I've been taking I've been asking friends of mine who grill, what's the best kind of grill to get? And you'd be amazed at the answers I've gotten.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And like you can throw them in the air fryer. You can throw them on the grill, however you like them. These wings aren't breaded like most other ones. You just get the meat and the flavor available at pretty much all North Texas Kroger locations. Now, both flavors not available at each location. Some places have both. Like the one by me has both of them, but sometimes they just have one flavor. Either the mango habanero or the buffalo blue cheese. Buy a couple of pounds and you just walk up to the meat counter in the back, tell the dude, hey, I want a couple pounds of those wings, and they'll wrap them up, and you can have them this weekend. I got some more. I swear. I think this will be the fourth weekend in a row I've grilled them because they're delicious. Right? Yeah, I love the mango. They're easy, and the mango habanero is fantastic, and they make good. Like if you grill 2 or 3 pounds, you don't eat them all. You can reheat them, and they still hold up, which I like.
Yeah. Now the good thing is, last time I had some, I didn't tell you about this. I had some a couple weeks ago. I went in there because there's a Kroger obviously near me.
Yeah.
I said, drums only, please.
Wow, I didn't even think about doing that. That's a good idea. Yeah, because I got flats and
only,
drums.
Please.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, well, you just turned me on to a new tip.
Hey, man.
Awesome.
That's what I'm here for, bro.
All right, so we continue, and it is time, as we like to do, to take our trip around the block. Local guys talking about local things. And what is more local than what I'll be doing this weekend? My good friends at Three Nations Brewing wanted to say congratulations to them. They are having their 5th anniversary party on Saturday afternoon at the brewery there in downtown Carrollton. Tickets are $25 at the door on Saturday. And one thing that's cool about Three Nations is they are like really, really good about the protocols for social distancing and masking. Yeah. So while they are having an anniversary party, people that work at the brewery, if you walk around and you do not have your mask on when you're not seated at a table, they will come up to you like, we need you to put the mask on.
All right.
Like cool. It's really good how they do that, because I know sometimes with the rising numbers right now and whatnot, some people may be like, wow, they're having a party, but I'm telling you, and they have a huge outdoor space, which is great. indoor tap room. They got a couple of tap rooms. It's a gorgeous facility in downtown Carrollton. I'm stoked about it because I saw the beer lineup. They put it up on Facebook, and they're going to have a jalapeno watermelon Berliner Weiss that I am excited to try.
Dude, that's a lot of moving parts there, man.
It is, man. But I'll be out there on Saturdays, so that's going to be a good time. You know, they've been brewing some really good beers, and such a cool area. It's really neat how, and I know that at one point, maybe on our furlough weeks, you were hitting up downtowns and different small towns.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting because downtown Carrollton is one of those places where literally you could throw a rock and hit I-35 from downtown Carrollton. And not even be that good of a throw.
I think I went through there on the way to your brother's house.
Yeah, I think you probably did. And, you know, it's interesting because a lot of downtowns are kind of tucked away off. You can't really just be that close to a major road like 35. But yet somehow when you're in downtown Carrollton, it still has that same old classic downtown vibe to it, which is weird.
Does it?
I think so.
Because I don't want to think I missed something. What's the $25 get you at Three Nations?
I'd have to look it up. I think you get a variety of pours and it's stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not like you just pay $25 and then you got to walk in and pay for all your beers and stuff like that.
All right, because, you know, a man like me, I was like, well, damn.
Yeah, no, it's usually...
it was an exclusive party.
No. Let's see. I'll look it up real quick so I can... Because, yeah, that's actually a really good question. Yeah, so it says you get a 6 8-ounce pours in a special anniversary class. That's what you get.
6 8-ounce pours?
Yeah, so you get 48 ounces of beer in a special anniversary glass.
Dude, I'd have to take mine home in a growler.
Yeah, because that's basically like 4 beers.
I'd be like, can I just have 8 flights?
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, that's, 3 pints, generally speaking, is
48 ounces.
Yeah, so that's 3 pints of beer, which is about right for most people. If you're a beer drinker, some people might push it a little bit more, but three is about the max that a lot of people would go for in a public setting like that.
Dude, I'm still trying to get past 1 pint.
Yes, you are.
Matter of fact, I have some beer in my fridge.
Pretty funny.
And I don't drink it. Why? Because it's a 16-ounce can, and I'm like, I don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
And if I open it, if I drink out of that, I'm done. And so it just sits there.
Yeah, it'll sneak up on you, man. I mean, that's the weird thing. And I notice this because I rarely drink liquor now. And so whenever I drink liquor, it tends to affect me differently because I never drink it. And I can totally tell a difference versus drinking beer that sometimes I feel like I can drink nonstop and I'm fine. I mean, I know technically I'm not, but I have a lot better understanding of how that affects me at the rate of which, the ABV in that versus drinking a 40% ABV drink and whiskey or whatever.
Dude, I had one of those high ABV stouts last week, and I was like, whoa, I'm feeling kind of boozy. This is sad that it took me 8 ounces to get like that.
Yeah. I like it. You're building up your tolerance.
I don't know that that's a positive.
Maybe it'll come in handy one day. We shall see. Yeah, it's cool too because that whole area. There's a couple of really cool restaurants that are downtown on the downtown Carrollton Square. There's a cool ice cream shop, and then they've got those old silos. I guess they used to be old grain silos that are right there on the train track, and they no longer function. So what they did, and they've got to be, I'm guessing maybe 100 feet, maybe slightly taller. And so they went in the inside, and a rock climbing company bought them and has turned the inside of those into indoor rock climbing things.
Really?
Yeah, which is right next to the brewery. It's kind of cool.
You do some rock climbing?
I have in the past. I've done indoor rock climbing. I mean, that can be a lot of fun. I've thought it'd be interesting to do legit rock climbing, but then
nah.
I don't have any of that gear, and that's probably one of those things that they always say is a young man's game. And while mentally I might think I'm young, there are times my body's like, "What are you doing?" So,
and you are young in some respects,
for sure. All right, so enjoy that. I just wanted to throw that out there. If you're in the craft beer world, as you know we are, then Three Nations is they're good people, man. And Gavin Secchi, one of their owners and their head brewer, is a buddy of mine, and to see him grow that over the last few years from moving from the smaller location in Farmers Branch to bringing it to that huge place in Carrollton has been really cool. So elsewhere around the block, believe it or not, as we record this, it is Thursday, November 12th. Thanksgiving is 2 weeks from today. It is, isn't it? Thursday, November 26th is Thanksgiving Day. And We're not going to get crazy into COVID, so those of you that want to freak out about it, you don't have to. But Dallas County, at least, is encouraging residents to celebrate only with people who live under the same roof as you because of rising COVID numbers across the region. And, of course, I think it's something like 3 out of the last 4 days, Dallas County has started to spike again and has reported over 1,200 COVID cases. Now, I think this is interesting because I wonder how many people this year will adhere to that type of philosophy of not leaving the house.
Very few.
See, that's what I thought, because we're leaving.
But okay, check this out, man. I think it's very few, but I think you can still be responsible without following those types of protocols. For example, I really hadn't thought about this, but last week, before I went to East Texas, y'all know that the lovely Lorraine's a real estate agent who's been smoking it lately. Mm-hmm. But somebody had a housewarming for a house that she sold for them. And they're friends of ours too. And so we went to the housewarming on the way out of town. And I knock on the door, and this kid who I've known since he's 3 years old, he's one of my dude's best friends.
Yeah.
He doesn't even say hello. He whips out that thermometer and starts blasting my forehead.
Wow, really?
And he says, okay, you good. Then he gives me a hug and says, okay, come on in. And he did the same thing with the lovely Lorraine.
Wow.
And so they were checking temperatures at the door, which is fine. And then everybody had a mask on. And they had, check this out, Matt, they had 2 housewarming parties. One at like 1 o'clock, which is the one we went to, and another one like 5 o'clock, so that they wouldn't have too many people in their house at once.
Wow.
And I thought that was a way to try to be as responsible as you can be while still trying to live, a normal life and do what normal people do when they buy a house.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My only thing is, what if you're asymptomatic?
Well,
I mean, you can only
cussed.
Well, and you can only do as good as you can do. I will say this.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think the government, whether you want to say the federal, the local, whatever, the state, however level you're looking at, I think they had one shot here back in the summer where they could have shut it all down and we all would have been cool for like 4 to 6 weeks, but they didn't. And now they can never go that route again. Like, I think if they try to shut things down again to any type of like level that it got to before, I think you'll see even more protesting and more people like, no, you're not doing this to us again. Like, we know the risks. We know what's up. You guys decided not to originally. So now, because we saw the effect that it had on businesses and the economy.
Right.
And I don't think that people will be willing to go through that again.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, but, I don't know. It's a really good question because, there may also be a different climate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it turns out. But It's one of those things, at least as it pertains to Thanksgiving. Like, we're going to Arkansas, and we are actually having a small gathering. And by small, I mean, I believe it's just me, my lady friend, her mom, and her stepdad. I think that's it. Just 4 of us.
Hell, that does qualify as small.
Yeah, so I think it'll be good. And they live out on a massive chunk of land in Conway, Arkansas, just north of Little Rock. So, which, Conway is actually a sizable town. It's bigger than Rockwall is, actually. So it's not like it's some tiny little, East Texas town. But that being said, I'm looking forward to it because I don't ever eat food like that. I mean, like, I eat a lot of turkey, but I don't eat that type of turkey. I eat like the deli meat from the store or whatever. Right. Although I do get the nicer kind. But my lady friend, her mom makes this breakfast casserole. And I absolutely love it. And every time I go out there, she makes it. And I always make sure it's the only thing that I'll overeat myself on anymore. And I told her mom once, I was like, this would be in the running. If I'm ever on death row and I need a last meal, you may have to cook this. Like, I love it. It's absolutely just phenomenally good.
Man, that is high praise.
Yeah, it's one of those, because I used to do this at Thanksgiving with my grandma's mashed potatoes, where it got to a point where I would be the last person to get it. And then whatever I had left, I'd be like, okay, Matt, you can get whatever you want now.
Okay, fine. You can gorge yourself because we've all eaten.
Yeah, because I loved the mashed potatoes so much that my grandma used to make that back years ago, she died in 1999, but back when we were kids and we would go, when I was a teenager especially, and I was eating like crazy, I'd show up at Thanksgiving and then everybody would be like, what happened to the mashed potatoes? And they'd look at my plate and go, Matt, are you serious? And then people would come by my plate and take scoops off my plate because that's why they started giving it to me last. And it's become that way with this casserole where I feel like, okay, like she makes a dish of it and I try not to get too much. And then they're always like, all right, well, you can have seconds if you want. I'm like, anybody else want any? And I'll eat like the rest of the whole half of it. Really?
Okay, what the hell's in this casserole, dude?
Man, it's just super cheesy and like hash brown and ham. It's just the way she puts it together. I mean, God, it's good. It's so good. I can't wait to eat it.
Wow.
Yeah, because that means I'll get it on Thanksgiving and we'll see him over Christmas, so I'll get it then too. So it'll be great.
Little things in life.
It really is. All right, one more thing for you here on our trip around the block, because this is one that I know a lot of people, this kind of hits close to home, and we've all kind of wondered this. H-E-B, the grocery store, is considering a location once again in North Texas, but it's not going to be in the Dallas area, and it's not going to be in the Fort Worth area.
They've got one here.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, why don't they put them more in Dallas or Fort Worth? I don't know. But they are considering building a brand new H-E-B either in Forney or Terrell.
Jesus. I'm just saying that. I shouldn't say it. There's one in Waxahachie.
Yep. I think there's one in Ennis, too.
And I've got a friend of mine who goes and does her shopping at I go, why do you drive to Waxahachie to go to a grocery store? She's like, oh, I just love it and it's convenient and I enjoy the ride. And I'm like, okay, I guess. Terrell. I mean, that's 30 miles the other way from here.
Yep, that is way out there, man. I mean, that's Jamie Foxx's hometown.
I stopped at the Buc-ee's in Terrell on my way back from East Texas the other day.
Yeah, that Buc-ee's is not as good as the one in Royce City.
Well, see, hell, you should have told me. I'd have stopped at that one.
That's okay.
Off of 30, though.
Yeah, that one's off of 30, and the one you're talking about is like right there at 20 and 80 where they merge.
Yeah, it was all right. I didn't, dude, but they're doing some construction out there. It took me 20 minutes to get back on the highway.
Yeah,
you couldn't just pop on and off. You had to go take some 577 road I'd never heard of.
H-E-B is one of those things that...
What makes H-E-B special?
They have like crazy good prices. They have an awesome selection of different things. It's like you can have a central market type experience without paying the central market prices. I mean, it's owned by the same company, and it seems like that's what they've done is all the ones that they had in the actual Dallas, in the immediate Dallas suburbs, they turned those into central markets. Remember Sunfresh? They bought like 6 or 7 Sunfresh locations a few years ago, and some people thought, okay, they're going to turn those into H-E-Bs. Nope. They turned 2 of them into central markets and sold the other ones.
And you know what's interesting about this? See, we could actually do a segment on this one day. Grocery store shopping as opposed to, like, the only time I go to the grocery store any day is when I'm going to pick up some of those wings, man.
Yeah.
I do my grocery shopping at like Costco. For real. Like, I don't go to the grocery stores, or I go to Walmart sometimes or Target, but I don't go to Kroger, Tom Thumb. I don't even know if they make Albertsons anymore. I don't go to any of that for grocery shopping.
Yeah, we do Kroger most of the time. There's a Tom Thumb I could walk to, but Tom Thumb's prices are too high, I think, personally. So that's why we go a little bit further down the road to go to Kroger. But we were ordering like on Amazon.
Fascinating to me. Yeah, I remember that. This is fascinating to me. What constitutes their prices are too high?
So
the turkey is like what?
Well, the turkey will be like $1 more than it is at Kroger, right? And then like the Waterloo, the sparkling waters, like Kroger does it all the time where you can get 3 for $10, and then you go to Tom Thumb and they're like $4 for an 8-pack. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here?
See, I love these conversations. Y'all know I do, because it's all about what's your limit. So
I know it's the minutia.
It's $1. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not screwing me over $1, and at the end of the day, you've taken an extra $18 from me, and damn it, I'm not going to do it because, twice a month we go. That's $36. That's $360, $400 a year that I could have saved by not going to Tom Thumb. But I just think it's funny how we've all got our sticking points. I would never pay $4.99 for an app. Are you crazy? But I paid $3.99 for one.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so I don't know, man. HEB, and like you said, there's some down in your area. There's an HEB. Here's where they are in I guess, the vast expanse of Dallas-Fort Worth. If you draw like a massive circle in North Texas, there's one currently in Burleson, Ennis, Waxahachie, Cleburne, Granbury, and Hudson Oaks.
Now, see, this is interesting. Where the hell is Hudson Oaks? I've never even heard of it.
It's out there like past Fort Worth. I think it's on the other side, like in between Aledo and Weatherford.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Hudson Oaks. Never heard. It's interesting to me that they have Cleburne, Ennis, Waxahachie.
Right.
Those are all south of DeSoto, but they're all within 30 minutes of DeSoto. So it's interesting to me they have them clustered like that.
Yeah, and then
Cleburne might be more like 45 minutes, but it's not that far.
Yeah, and then Forney, Forney is not close to anything, honestly.
Dude, that's where this housewarming party was the other day. It was in Forney.
Yeah, and see, from downtown Dallas, believe it or not, you can get to certain parts, you can get to the main exit in Forney in about 20 minutes.
That's why people live there. Right,
but even if you live in Rockwall, Forney is 20 minutes from Rockwall. It's 20 minutes with no traffic from downtown Dallas. Otherwise, it's a hike. It's one of those things. I get it. Super great home value out there too in Forney, by the way.
Oh yeah, trust me, I saw it.
And they have a cool downtown with the giant jackrabbit statue.
Hell, it never dawned on me to go to Forney's downtown.
Yeah, and there's a really cool craft beer store out there called Bubble and Squeak.
Really?
Yep.
See, this is why this dude loves trivia. I mean, Bubble and Squeak in Forney. What is Bubble and Squeak? Have you stepping on a baby's toy? No, Mr. Taylor, you just lost the Daily Double. Man, it is a craft beer store.
It is, but it's named...
Matt, good answer.
It's named after a British meal that, if I recall correctly, is potatoes and cabbage. Bubble and Squeak. So that's...
Can I tell you something? There ain't a damn thing worth eating in Britain other than fish and chips.
Bubble and Squeak doesn't do it for you?
No, and I was there for a week, Matt. And that wasn't a damn thing worthy of eating over there. Nothing. Shepherd's pie, nothing.
I'll have some shepherd's pie, and also over here, he'll have some Bubble and Squeak.
Bland.
Bland. But you know what? They have way cooler names for their stuff than we do over here.
Oh, yeah.
We would just say, can I get some potatoes, and I'll just do the cabbage. And over there you go, I'd like the Bubble and Squeak.
I'd like some porridge, please.
Do you mind if I get some porridge with that shepherd's pie over there? And then you walk outside, and if the sun shines, it's like a gift from God. Yes. And if you kiss a girl and she smiles at you and her teeth are straight, you're like, oh my God, I found a unicorn. Well, that was fun.
Yes. Wow.
Oh, so there you have it. That will wrap up a very fun trip around the block as we continue here on Jam Session with all of you fine folks. We talked a little earlier about the Dallas Cowboys offense and where it sits at the bye, and obviously some of the struggles that they've had. Well, as we transition here, it is time to discuss the Dallas Cowboys defense, which oddly enough had been extraordinarily porous. I had this thing as an F across the board for the most part. And then against the Eagles, they got 4 takeaways, and your eyebrow kind of went up, I think, maybe a little bit. You're like, wow, where the hell did that come from? And then against the Steelers, and we kind of discussed this on the podcast earlier this week, and you made the point and kind of explained why the Steelers weren't really trying to run the ball. That being said, the defense held up for the most part, but in the end couldn't get the stops that they needed. They didn't get any sacks. They didn't get any takeaways. And we're still sitting here 9 weeks into the season, which a defense, which Stephen Jones and the coaches will tell you is like, we're figuring it out. We're getting there. Okay, you got 7 games left, guys.
Yeah, man, defense has been a disaster in general and overall. They've definitely played better the last 2 weeks. But y'all know me, man. I ride with that skinniest fat guy theory. So, yeah, you played better, but, the standard is so low. You could jump over a crippled cricket's ass and hit the standard. Well, that's me stealing from Jerry Jones.
Oh, my God. I was going to say, where did a crippled cricket's ass?
That's a Jerry Jones line from about 3 or 4 years ago.
Which makes sense because if it's crippled and its legs don't work, it's just dragging its ass, so it's right there for you to crawl up in.
There you go.
All right.
So, I have my doubts about the defense. I will say this. They appear to be playing with more fervor. And that's always good on defense. I think some of it is when you have more young guys playing who are trying to prove themselves in the league, Neville Gallimore, some of the other guys, Trayvon Diggs, even the safeties who aren't that good. It just gives you a different vibe because they happy to be here. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not just like, well, I got my check, blah, blah, blah. So I think you've seen a little bit of that. And, I think they're getting a better grasp of the defensive system, even though they still don't really fit into it just right. So I think all of that combined is why they've played better. But it's all about the consistency you can get, not just a one-off performance.
Yeah, and I don't think we've had that at all, like zero consistency. And that's what's been so crazy about this is, when you look at it, and again, the Eagles game kind of skews everything because they got the 4 turnovers. Well, in their 8 other games, they have 3 turnovers. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so we'll see, like Pittsburgh. I think they ran 18 times for 46 yards. James Conner, 6 carries, 21 yards. There really wasn't an emphasis on running the ball. Check this out, man. That Dalvin Cook dude, for Minnesota, he shows up Sunday. I feel confident saying they'll try to run the ball with him. And we will see whether the Dallas Cowboys run defense is really improved, because in Dalvin Cook's last 5 games, people, he's gone 181, 130, 65, 163, 206.
Yep.
All right? He scored a touchdown in every game this year. Okay, we're talking about a dude who's leading the league in rushing. He's already got 855 yards and 12 touchdowns, averaging 122 yards a game, 4.9 yards a carry. So if we think the run defense is better, we'll see against Minnesota the week after the bye.
Yeah, that's very true, because if you can do it against Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings, that definitely is going to show you something, because the reality is this: they did it against the Giants, who didn't have Saquon Barkley, and they did it against the Steelers. And look, James Conner is an okay running back. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's one of the best in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. And to your point, and we discussed this on Monday's podcast, Steelers were spreading it out, didn't make a great effort to run. But those are the 2 teams they have held underneath 100 yards this year. The other 7 teams they've played have ran for an average of 182 yards a game against them.
Now, see, I think it's fair to say, as Gallimore and Antoine Woods and, Randy Gregory's been out there, as they play more, you should hope they can get better. Dalvin Cook's having such a good year. If you hold him to 21 carries for 100 yards, you've had a good game. You know what I mean? The object is to not let him dominate the game where you just have no chance because he's ripping off run after run after run after run. That, to me, is the key. Can you hold him under his average?
Yeah, and we'll see, because he's averaging a lot, man. And you look at some of the run attacks that are coming up, and I don't know what we put into Washington, but Antonio Gibson, the rookie, and then, of course, Baltimore, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Lamar Jackson, and then Cincinnati with Joe Mixon. I mean, it doesn't get any easier.
San Francisco beats you with the scheme. They just run.
Right.
They confuse the hell out of you.
Wow.
So, no, they got – it's not getting any easier, man. That's why I say pump the brakes. The story doesn't have to be written after these 2 games. Let's just see, because, you got some people. I saw somebody on Twitter, man. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. He's like, oh, I thought this defense was the worst defense in the NFL.
Oh, my God.
They're already up to, 19th or 20th in the league or something. I'm like,
oh, wow. That's so amazingly good.
See, that's exactly what I wrote a column about this week, man. Like, oh, so you hyped because, okay, you're not 32nd no more, that you're up to 20th? Man, shut up.
Well, I mean, come on. What are we doing? That's so funny to me. It's one of those things, man, when you look at this thing, overall, okay, the Dallas Cowboys are now what is that, 29th? No, I'm sorry, 28th. They have the 28th ranked defense in the NFL, ahead of the Jets, Seahawks, and Falcons. So that's where they are right now in total defense. They're still allowing 5.8 yards per play. Their takeaways, because of that 4 that they had against the Eagles, they now have 7, which is 26th in the NFL. If you take away the Eagles game, every other team in the NFL has at least 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's some of it, man. It's obviously the lack of turnovers is a big deal. There's obviously been a strong emphasis on getting them. But they kind of ran them with the Cowboys. But, the secondary has given up some plays. And hopefully Cheeto Awuzie can come back now that Trayvon Diggs is out so that you don't have to play a guy like Savion Smith out there. And you just try to hold on, man, best you can.
Yeah, and technically they're dead last in rush defense, but that's because the Texans have only played 8 games. The Texans are allowing slightly more per game than the Cowboys are, but it's not like, and that's with just allowing the Steelers 46 yards in the ground. It's not like defensively all of a sudden because of that, like, oh my God, look at them. What an amazing defense this is. And you start looking at it, they've got only 17 sacks on the year. It's not a team that gets a ton of pressure. Like we were told, they're about average pretty much with their pass rush and sacks and pressure and things like that. I don't know, man. This is a defense that I thought we were going to get a lot more out of. But again, and we talked about this before, some of those big free agent signings like Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy, everybody was excited about Clinton Dix for whatever reason at the time. He didn't even make the team. Excited. No, I don't think either of us were. He doesn't even make the team. Gerald McCoy never played a snap this year, and Dontari Poe, we know the story with him. He came in and decided to eat his way out of Dallas and was a nothingness.
No, they missed on 6 of the 7 guys they signed in free agency. That's a hard thing. That's a hard pill to swallow right there.
And so I don't know what to expect of this defense. I mean, at some point, at least I guess there weren't the blown coverages against the Steelers that we had seen time and time again.
Yeah, they played better. I mean, but, progress is measured in very small increments with this team.
Very small. They're 2-7. Let's keep that in mind. So we'll continue, and we'll see, man. I mean, look, that Minnesota offense with Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, the rookie wide receiver out of LSU, and Dalvin Cook. I mean, if Dalvin Cook starts being effective, this is going to be a long-ass day, man, when they play the Vikings. Because if they can't stop Cook, you know what that does? It sets up the play action for teams that have struggled with coverage this year. Next thing you know, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are running all over you wide open for Kirk Cousins to have a big game. 2-8 on the way. We continue here on Jam Session with you guys and want to tell you about our buddy, attorney Chris W. Fitzgerald, one of our sponsors, Fitzgerald Law. And, lawyers, I've said this multiple times, but I still think it is true. And some of you out there kind of nod and be like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You never realize you need one until you need one. You got these legal questions. You don't know where to turn for the answer. I'm going to tell you this right now. Reach out to Chris because it's easier to know than to guess when it comes to legal stuff.
No, I mean, I think that's the best thing. And the thing about it is, and we were talking about a lawyer this week because we were looking at a contract. How about that?
Indeed we were.
And we were like, I picked up about 5 things on it. And any lawyer would look at it and go, oh, you missed these other 5 here. And that's what you have lawyers for.
Right, exactly. And he can do all that, man. Chris covers it all. Probate, contracts, business transactions, consumer bankruptcy, all those types of things. And the cool thing is you don't have to meet him in person. As a matter of fact, he was telling me this, a lot of courts are changing and moving from in-person hearings to telephonic or Zoom type meetings. And Chris does just that. He has a virtual law practice where you don't have to go to his actual office. He can meet with you virtually to handle pretty much all your needs exclusively online. So contact him. You can call him 972-842-4220. Or find him online, which is probably easier, at chrisfitzgeraldlaw.com. That's chrisfitzgeraldlaw.com. I'm going to have to give him a call and hook him up because at some point I'm going to have to get a will.
Yeah, you don't have a will yet?
Nah, man. I don't like to think about it because I'm like, well, if I die, I die or whatever. But then you start to think about it and having a kid and everything. It's like, I probably should have a will.
Yeah, even if you ain't got shit, you need a will.
I know. I'm telling you, I am the worst adult of all time. Like, I'm horrible at adulting. I just am. I don't know how to explain it to everybody.
No, we've all got our flaws, man. But that's one that you need to take care of, because not for you, it's for the people you leave behind.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about money or assets. I'm talking about lack of confusion, lack of like, what do we do and how do we handle this and why did he do that and why, you're trying to save them as little stress as possible. And you see, now you've got me speaking from the heart, because my cousin died yesterday of a massive heart attack.
Oh my God.
48 years old.
Oh no, that's horrible, man.
And I'm not saying whether he had a will or not. I'm just saying that's how quick it happened. Like, I was just talking to him on Facebook a couple weeks ago about something, and he had a massive heart attack at home yesterday. They called the paramedics, and he was gone before the paramedics came. That's my cousin Greg Gibson in Tampa. But
dang, dude,
that's why you got to take care of those things, because
you never know.
We all know tomorrow's not promised.
That's very true, and I'd like to make sure that my PlayStation goes to the right person. So
see, dude, I'm serious about that. Yeah.
So am I. That's and
what I'm saying.
I don't want to.
People get certain games,
right?
Okay, check this out, man. This is real talk, because I've had this exact same conversation with my dad, because my dad thinks he's immortal, and I go, well, you might be, but just in case, can we get the damn will done? Now I'm telling y'all, this is a true conversation I had with my dad. I said, hey, make sure you leave me the Porsche. And he starts laughing. I said, I'm serious. I go, your wife will drive it like it's a truck. So she'll run through it. It won't be any good. I go, my sister, she just started learning how to drive at 20. So she doesn't need it. She wouldn't even appreciate it. I said, Sinkay, my younger brother, he doesn't deserve a Porsche, but I'd be happy to give it to him when he's a little older and I'm through with it. I'm the only one who can appreciate it and drive it and enjoy it the way you would drive it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So make sure you leave it to me so that there's no confusion. Because the ultimate confusion is, we'll just sell it and split the money.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See? So me and my dad had this talk, and he said, okay, the Porsche is yours.
All right, fair enough. And you're like, I need a photocopy of that to make sure you put it in there.
And then I told him, I said, now you realize I ain't in no hurry to get it, man.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just never think about stuff like that because who knows? I just want to make sure I'm not buried in like a nice coffin. I want to either be shot into space, and I don't know if I want to be cremated or if I just want to be buried in a box, because I think they have to put you in something, maybe in a trash bag or something. You can just put me in that.
They got to put you in something so that
the animals and stuff don't get into. Yeah. I mean, you don't want that to happen. So anyway, that is a long ass way of saying Attorney Chris W. Fitzgerald can help you with that. Make sure you don't get eaten by worms.
Hey, man, can you imagine if we did a spot like that on the radio, what management would be doing? He would have left the control room and ran into the studio and snatched the mic from us.
He'd be so pissed off, but yes.
He'd be throwing pencils at the ceiling.
Chris can make sure that all of that gets taken care of. If you've got a dad with the Porsche and you want it, Chris can help you. Check him out at chrisfitzgeraldlaw.com. So we had this conversation the other day as we move from the Cowboys into another fun little chat that popped into our minds. And it was prompted because we did the story in the block about the creator of Scooby-Doo who had passed away. And man, several of you on Twitter, which by the way, you can find us on Twitter at McMattRadio, at JJT_journalist. You hit us up about Scooby-Doo. We got a couple of Instagram messages on our Instagram at Jam Session Cast about Scooby-Doo and how some of you are still watching it. Some of your kids still watch it, correcting the names to make sure we got them right.
Yeah, because we got Velma and Daphne. I kept calling her Thelma and Veronica.
Yeah, whatever. And it was so funny how many Scooby-Doo defenders there were.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I told Brother James, I am so effing happy you guys watch Scooby-Doo, man.
Yeah, and it started us down this conversation of cartoons. And, cartoons obviously still exist. There's more adult cartoons now than there ever have been. Where you can turn on like Comedy Channel or Cartoon Network or whatever and watch cartoons that are literally made for the adults of the world. But when we were kids growing up, the cartoons that you really got into, and I think it probably depends on how old you are. Now I'm 41, and I think my generation, we were kids in the 80s.
Right.
In 80s cartoons to this day, Transformers, He-Man, Care Bears, Mask, all those types of cartoons that to this day, like even in the late 80s and early 90s with DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, Inspector Gadget, Gummy Bears, just so many great cartoons that came out of that era.
Yeah, it's a, I'm trying to see, like, I actually watched some of those because I was in college then. And so, you know, you goofing around in college. You may watch some of those in between classes or whatever. But I was really a kid of the 70s and perhaps a smidgen of the early 80s. And so I was all about Fat Albert and the Flintstones and the Jetsons.
Okay, yeah.
Johnny Quest used to get me because there was always some intrigue with Johnny Quest. And then the Justice League and stuff like that. But I was a Saturday morning cartoon guy if I could get away from my mother. Because, you know, they believe Saturday mornings are for cleaning up.
Of course they do. Yeah, cartoons... It was interesting because so many of them, like you can still remember the jingles where you had, and we were talking about this before we started recording. You go, what was the one with the cat people? And it's like, you mean Thundercats?
Thundercats!
Thunder. Roar. Thunder. Thundercats. And it had all the cool sound effects. And then Transformers. When Transformers came out, I think as a little kid, that blew my mind. I was like, wait a second. There are alien robots in the car I'm driving in right now that my mom's taking me to school in can turn into a talking person. This is awesome. I used to love Transformers and He-Man were probably the two go-tos for me that from the cartoon universe that I had a gazillion of them.
Did you?
Yeah, and you know, because I had my brother Chris, who's 2 years younger than me, so we were close enough in age where we played everything together. And what was funny is my parents at an early age recognized that I was a good child and Chris was evil. And this is true, and I don't even know if my parents consciously did this. They would get us, like, say we would both get Transformers. I would get Optimus Prime. He would get Megatron. He would end up with getting all the Decepticons, and I would get all the Autobots. He-Man, same thing. I had Castle Grayskull and He-Man and Battle-Cat. Chris had Skeletor in Skeletor's castle and his purple panther that he rode on.
Wow.
It was really interesting how even with like G.I. Joes, I would have the good ones. He would have Cobra Commander. With Mask, I had the good Mask people and he had, it was the craziest thing. I think I pointed it out to my parents once when we were older and they were both like, huh. I don't know if we did that on purpose or if that's just how it worked so that you guys could play against each other or whatnot and you weren't fighting for the same toys because you were on two different sides.
Or maybe they thought you were the good child and he was evil.
Exactly. Exactly. Sorry, Chris, if you're listening to it, but he knows it's true. Yeah, man, but I remember Saturday mornings when I was a kid in the 80s. This is like mid 80s, and they kind of redid Saturday morning cartoons, and I still remember. And you might be too old for this, but they used to have this little jingle where they would go to commercial, and these claymation figures would come out, and they would go, "After these messages, we'll be right back." And like one of them was where the claymation guys would sing after these messages and then their heads fell off and rolled to the next guy and their heads went on a different body and they said, "We'll be right back."
Dang, I ain't never heard nothing like that.
I know. It's weird. I remember that.
Wow. I would have, that's interesting. No, I gotta tell you, I'm too old for that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I figured because that probably would have been like 86, 87. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was 18, 19 then, so.
Yeah, but you weren't sitting around watching Saturday morning cartoons as a guy in college.
No, I was probably, You're
doing something else on Saturday mornings.
No, having spent the evening chasing, I was probably trying to relive my hunt.
Or sneak out. One of the two.
I wasn't, in freshman year, I was, I did a lot of hunting. I didn't kill a lot.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, cartoons is one of those things. I
found one zebra, and I just decided I'll just eat on this one zebra.
Wow, that's a weird analogy. But I like it. Cartoons to me, like I struggle today watching cartoons. I mean, obviously I have a 9-year-old.
Are there any good cartoons on today?
I'm sure there are, but all the ones that he'll watch, like I can't get into them at all. And even like animated movies, I have to be talked into watching a lot of these animated movies. Like, well, I'll be like, this looks dumb. I don't want to watch this. I will say, like some of the ones that Pixar is doing, like Zootopia, I thought was genius. I loved Zootopia. And then one of the ones that came out a few years ago that we actually watched recently, and my lady friend and my son were like, no, I'm telling you, it's really good. I was like, fine, we'll watch it. It was called Inside Out. And we started watching this. It was like, oh my God, this is genius. I love this movie. So I've tried to come along on it.
Is this like Pixar movies and all that?
Yeah, for the most part, it's Pixar, but do they do like cartoon like the old school type animation anymore with movies at all? I don't think they do really.
Dude, I don't know. The technology is so good. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Now, I went through a phase where I had to see a lot of those. But my dude was such a movie guy when he was a kid. Now most movies we had the same kind of taste, but a few times, you'd have to go see a kid's movie because he wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, he wasn't too bad about it, but I'd go, but I'd fall asleep with him.
Yeah, there's been some that I'm like, my God, this is horrible. Like, why do you like this? But it's totally different. And then I don't know. I think everybody is a defender of sorts of their era. Like to me, 80s, I loved the 80s. I loved being a kid in the 80s. I loved that it was the last real generation that you didn't have everything on the internet. You couldn't have cell phones to get everything accomplished. You actually had to pick up a phone and call somebody to say, hey, can I come over and play or whatever? And you'd play outside more than ever. And, Nintendo came out in the mid 80s, but I didn't get one until 88. So like the bulk of my childhood was spent playing outdoors and pretending to be sports guys or pretending to be a cartoon that you had watched or whatever. And I don't know, that to me feels like the last generation that kind of, and there's probably, I guess, a generation that grew up in the early 90s maybe. But even then, because we had the internet at my house when I was a freshman in high school in 93, 94. So, at some point, there are kids that just by the time they had conscious memory, they could look up stuff on the internet or email or use cell phones or whatever.
Oh no, absolutely, man. And for somebody whose kid is growing up in this millennium, dude. I mean, his phone is attached to his hand.
Yeah, and I wonder.
I think he goes to bed with it.
What do you think the last years were where you could let your kid, because when I was in 4th and 5th grade, we didn't have cell phones or anything. My mom would say, okay, we'll be home by dark for dinner, and we'd go ride our bikes wherever. And she knew that we weren't like going miles away, but we were going into the woods and all that. And I wonder when the last time was that parents allow their kids to do something like that, because nowadays, and I'm sure some of you listen, I let my kids do that, but come on. I don't think most parents allow their kids to go off on their own like we used to when we were kids.
Shoot, man, probably the mid to late 90s.
I wonder, there was something that changed it? Was it Amber Hagerman? There had to be something that changed the idea.
For a lot, it was the Atlanta child murders.
Yeah.
But that was I can't remember if that was the late 70s or the 80s, even though.
Yeah, that was in that time period. And then I wonder if it was like the West Memphis 3. Remember those guys that were wrongly accused of murdering those kids in the creek bed or whatever?
Because I was of the generation that could go do whatever. Nah, man, my kid, man, please.
There's no way. There's no way.
Matter of fact, he's 16, about to turn 17, and I'm still like, yo, dog, I know you drive and you need to tell me where you are. Matter of fact, I just sent a text about that the other day. And it wasn't that he went far. He just stopped at another friend's house. And I'm just like, bro, I need to know where you are 24/7. And I go, it's not to spy on you. It's so that if something happens,
right,
I know where to start looking. Because this is a dangerous world we live in. And, that's just the way it is, man.
And that's how it is. Much like
check this out, man. So he went to his friend's house the other day, and I think because we were out of town, and so he spent the night, and he hadn't come back yet. His friend lives literally 1.8 miles from here, And he spent the day with him, and they've been boys since they were like 5 or 6. So that's his boy. And the lovely Lorraine is like, "Have you talked to your son?" I go, "No." "Why not?" "Because he's at Dylan's house." She goes, "Oh." And so finally she asked me again, man, like 2 hours, "Have you talked to your son?" And so I sent him a text. I said, "Yo, man, call your mother." He sent me a text back. He said, "Why?" I said, "Because you're her baby." And he sent me a text back with smiley emojis talking about, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
That's how it is, man.
And so he called her, man. But I'm just like, dude. The caveat I forgot to mention was he had probably been up late with his friends, so he went to he was sleeping because I could see where his car was.
Right.
But he wasn't returning phone calls, and she had called him and texted him, and he didn't return it. And she was getting more and more antsy by the minute, man.
Well, makes sense. That's the way it goes from the innocence of those 80s cartoons to where we somehow wound up to today.
I was going to say, that went down a dark ending.
It did. But they'll never make them like they did with Transformers and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. God, that was great.
Now they make movies out of them.
Yeah, they do. And some of those movies are kind of cool, too.
Did you like Rugrats?
Rugrats was a little after my time. That was my brother Mark, who's he's like 11 and a half years younger than me. He was Rugrats guy.
All right.
Yeah.
So I found Rugrats amusing when I had to watch it from time to time.
Yeah, I was like, there's a whole thing with Rugrats and Doug, and I think some of those Nickelodeon cartoons that were of that genre that I was too old for when they came out. And I'm like, whatever. Not really my thing.
Okay, so before we end this up, what's the best cartoon?
Golly, honestly, like some of the Hanna-Barbera
from
ones.
your generation. Yeah.
Like you were talking about, it's hard to not say like the Flintstones or the Jetsons, but from my generation, because I look at it as the cartoon that I had to see every week with the toy and the way that it went down with everything, it's either Transformers or He-Man. I don't know if I can pick between the two.
For me, man, it really was Fat Albert and probably the Flintstones over the Jetsons.
I like it.
Because Fat Albert, again, see, this is about culture and race in America.
Yeah.
That's the one cartoon where you had black folks on it.
Yep.
You had that's what me and my friends talked about. You see this show this week, man? Mushmouth and all this other stuff. I mean, it was fantastic.
It is. And yeah, that was slightly before my time. I mean, I think I've probably seen it at some point along the way. But some of those, it's like the Jetsons and the Flintstones. Like I've seen them, but I never really, they weren't a huge part of my childhood growing up because of the stuff that started coming out in the 80s that had a lot of toys attached to it that you then would get into and
True that.
And go down there. Along with Star Wars, obviously, that wasn't a cartoon, but was so big at that time when I was growing up. But there you go. Some fascinating cartoon conversation. And let us know, because I'm curious. I know many of you are going to be like Transformers, He-Man, whatever. Maybe some of you out there have something totally different. So find us, hit us up on Twitter as you're listening to these. We always love the interaction with you guys while you're listening at McMattRadio, at JJT_journalist. You can find us there on Twitter. As we continue with you here on Jam Session, believe it or not, I know it's weird because it's the middle of November, but it is a tradition unlike any other. The Masters. It is Masters weekend. Of course, they canceled it in April due to the coronavirus, and they have it ongoing. It started today as we are recording this on Thursday, November 12th. It'll wrap up on Sunday as really the third and final major of the year because they're not doing the British Open this year. But the Masters in November on a college football NFL weekend.
Dude, I didn't even know the Masters was getting cranked up until yesterday.
Wow, really?
I mean, y'all know I ain't no golf guy, but and because it's been a bye week, I haven't even been reading as much as usual. And I was like, wow, the Masters is here. How wild is that?
Yeah, it's interesting to me because today, as we record this on Twitter, I've seen several people who are all over this. I mean, it's round one, and I get it because Tiger is off.
That was good.
Oh, whoops. I was trying to look at the leaderboard, and it played something off my computer. But yeah, Tiger is 4 under right now, about to wrap up his round. And so he's tied for third as we sit. And look, I'll be honest. I mean, I think if Tiger's in this thing, we're all going to be there on Sunday trying to watch this thing. Yep. Other than that, look, it is the Masters. I will probably Now, I say that, but on Sunday, we're doing a radio show from noon to 3 on the ticket. So I'm probably not going to be able to watch it until after 3 o'clock, and we'll see where they're at with the leaders then. But I'll probably watch the end of the Masters for sure on Sunday.
Now, you know my rule, man. Tiger's in it in the back 9. Or maybe, if Tiger's in it as they go past through A-man corner, I'm in. Outside of that, maybe I want to see if Byron DeChambeau can drive whatever hole he said. If he drives it, he's going to run around Augusta naked.
Yeah.
I'm kind of intrigued by that. And other than that, I'll take it and see. Spieth is in it. Maybe I'll take a peek at it. But there's got to be certain people involved for me to take a peek at it on Sunday.
Yeah, and it's such a historic course that I always enjoy seeing it. It'll be cool to see it in November, but Spieth right now, and again, who knows when you guys are listening to this where it'll wind up, but he's +2 for the day. He is 9 shots behind the leader, who's at 7 under. But Tiger's right there in the thick of this thing, and if he can do it and puts up a number today, why not? I mean, Tiger Woods at the mat, and this is the one tournament that I have thought as Tiger ages that he will be able to compete in and year out because it's a shot maker's course, and it is a course where if you can putt, you've got a chance. And as long as those things are working for them with his creativity, there's no reason to think that he wouldn't be able to do it.
I'm always curious, man, because people say this all the time. When you talk about creativity, what does that mean?
I think sometimes it has to be almost like the balls to attempt certain shots. Like, okay, like we've seen it, like the famous thing with Sergio behind the tree and his eyes closed, or a guy hitting from the opposite side, or doing some things with crafting a golf shot that not everybody would be comfortable to do, or has the vision to say, okay, if I hit this perfect and it goes right here, this shot's going to work. Versus, well, if I miss this, I mean, maybe I could squeeze it between these branches, but if I don't get that right, you know what, I'm just going to hit it over here. I think it's a combination.
Safe
of those
approach as opposed to a little bit more of a ballsy approach.
Yeah, but having the ability to see it, to see the and I think that's where creativity in golf comes in, is the ability to see the vision of that you can hit that shot, that it will work. I mean, maybe it's a low percentage shot, but you can see a way for it to come out on top for you. I mean, look, Tiger won last year. It's not like it's absurd for him to win the Masters. I mean, he literally won. The last time they played the Masters, Tiger Woods was the champion. So we know he can do it at his age. We have seen guys be competitive. I mean, obviously, Jack Nicklaus won it at the age of 46. We saw, several years ago, Freddie Couples was over 50 years old, and he was atop the leaderboard until he fell apart on the final day. But, Tiger's 44, and the Masters at Augusta is that one course that you feel like, as long as they don't try to lengthen it, if Bryson DeChambeau comes in and just is like bombing 4 like par 4s in one shot, and they're like, oh, now we got to lengthen it or something. I think Tiger can compete in this thing as long as his back holds up for another few years.
Well, I can't remember. Did they ever lengthen the Augusta because of Tiger? Because remember, he was driving it long when he first got cranked up.
They changed the course a little bit when Tiger came around. I mean, they changed all these and lengthened everything and did some different things. And now, at some point, and I'll be curious. I don't know. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau, it'll be interesting to see how his game plays at Augusta. But that dude is so scientific, and is playing golf like with the most analytical brain of anybody that's out there, and is playing the probabilities and the analytics and the science behind it. It's almost like it is in baseball. Like, okay, well, I mean, why get a single if I can hit a home run? It's almost like Bryson DeChambeau is doing that. Like, why hit a drive 312 yards and then have to hit another club that I don't control as much if I can already be on the green? Now, maybe I don't get on the green, but if I do, I'm way ahead of the pack.
Yeah, true that.
It's interesting, but we'll see. I'm definitely going to watch a little bit of it this weekend, but it is weird because I do wonder, Alabama LSU got canceled. The Masters was supposed to lead into that. There's not a lot of great college football on Saturday, but Sunday.
They've all been canceled.
Yeah, and then Sunday, the Cowboys don't play, so it is the right weekend. No Cowboys, they're on a bye. I'll definitely stop down for a little Masters at some point this weekend, and it'd be cool. God, can you imagine? What if Tiger gets it again? What if somehow he wins back-to-back Masters once again at the age of 43 and 44?
Now, that would be amazing. That would be truly amazing.
I mean, he won, I think it was 01-02, if I recall right, that he won back-to-back Masters. he's sitting on 15. Golly, I mean, what if he gets 16? We'll see. But yeah, if Tiger's in it on Sunday, you know everybody's watching. Everybody.
Yeah, even me.
Right. And I think, honestly, Tiger being in comp, like with the chance to win the Masters on Sunday is the only way that they will pull numbers from the NFL.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then everybody can say, hey, the numbers in the NFL are down again. What's wrong with the NFL?
Right, exactly. And we'll go, I mean, Tiger just won the Masters. Where do you think the people went? They went to watch Tiger. Clowns.
You know? I like ass hats.
You ass hats?
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I kind of like it.
It means you have an ass for a hat. I guess. I don't know.
Then you have a smelly head.
Apparently. Depends on which way the ass is facing.
Toward the north wind.
All right. Well, there it is. That was a fun conversation about the Masters and ass hats.
The things you could do when you're on your show.
It's pretty much true. So here we are. We are hanging out, if you hear some noise in the background, obviously at False Idol Brewing in North Richlands Hills. But it is time for Just a Sip.
Not the whole thing.
No, just the sip. Brought to you by Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Of course, Beer Geek Shop, one of the great craft brew shops in all of North Texas. Local family-owned business owned by Jason and Deidre out there off the square in downtown Rockwall. They have over 400 beers from across the world, and everything in Beer Geek Shop is available in singles. So all the beers we are trying today will be available for you at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Now, we are going to start you with this bad boy from Pegasus City Brewing Company. And Pegasus City is actually great. They have 2 locations in Dallas. They just opened about a week ago their brand new location in downtown Dallas, next to AT&T, that Discovery Center Plaza. It's right there in an old-ass building. I can't wait to go. I haven't been there yet. I've been to the other one in the Design District.
Right. That's the one I went to.
Yeah, Pegasus City has been doing some really good European-style beers for the last couple of years out of the Design District, and this is no different. They bring you their old-world German-style Bock. And what is the name of this? I believe it's 19th floor, 19-something?
This is 19 blocks.
19 blocks, that's right.
And it's supposed to pay homage to the impressive 19 contiguous blocks of the Dallas Arts District, the largest arts district in the nation. Nutty, bready, and an easy drinking 7 ABV give this delicious lager a welcome traditional profile, not typically present in your everyday Bock. Now, y'all know what that means for me.
Well, we'll see. Because it's 7%, I would expect a little bit more flavor on this than you would get from a lot of Bocks that you guys would be thinking of that are a little lower ABV. You know, Bocks are going to be a little bit more malty. You can see, as we have already poured this one by the color, it's going to give you that dark, almost like an amber, like a tree sap type color.
That's a good way to say it.
And so that's what you're going to be looking for on this, is a little bit of that nuttiness and a little bit of the malt flavor, which profiles the beer.
So I'm going to drink out the can.
Oh, God. Look at you, so fancy.
It's a strong scent now.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of that caramel sweetness, definitely maltiness, and just a slight hint of nut. You didn't like that? That's really good. That's a really good
Let me tell y'all
Bock.
something. This is really better than I anticipated, because for once, I can actually taste the sweetness. All right? And so, because I can taste the sweetness,
It's
for
very
me,
sweet.
it's got a little more flavor than a traditional lager, which is what I don't like. And so this one, I'd actually say, if you don't like traditional beer and somebody shows up with this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, this is interesting to me because I will tell you, like, I get a little bit of that higher ABV on it. Like, I feel like you get a hint of booze on the backside, along with that malty caramel sweetness that you're looking for.
You can definitely taste the caramel sweetness on this one. Good job by Pegasus City, 19 blocks.
Dries out a little bit. Yep.
I'm impressed because y'all know I ain't got no love for lagers, none. But this one, I'll tell you the truth, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's light, but it's got a nice mouth on it. Yeah.
What's the difference between a Bock and a lager, or is a Bock a type of lager?
Right. Yeah, Bock would be a type of lager. So the two main styles of beer are ale and lager. Every beer is one or the other.
Right.
It just depends on the fermenting process and how you brew the beer. And so, like, there's obviously all kinds of different styles of lagers and all kinds of different styles of ales.
All right. This one's pretty good. I'm impressed because, I promise you, I can't stand lagers. But this one is pretty good.
Has some flavor to it. So we will go from that to our next style of beer. And again, just a sip, as we will be doing every week here on the Jam Session podcast, brought to you by Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Get out there, say hello to Jason and Deidre. Oh, and I forgot to tell you this. Oh, we need to tell them they are going to be doing a Matt and Jacques, a jam session 6-pack.
Really?
That will be discounted, and it'll be 3 of my favorite beers and 3 of your favorite beers available at Beer Geek Shop. You can walk in and say, I want the Jam Session 6-pack and get it at a discounted rate.
That's
6
what's
beers.
up right there. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Do you already know your 3?
I've got to look at their website and see what they have. I think that you're probably this is one of those things where it's probably like Murder by Numbers or whatever that show. Where I see so many things at once that I got to kind of wade through it and be like, okay, what do they have? What is local? And kind of go from there. But yeah, I could probably tell you at least 2 of the 3 for sure that I know they have in stock that will go.
That's a great idea. See, I'm all hyped now.
So be looking for that. Check them out, Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall, and be looking for that craft 6-pack, the Jam Session 6-pack. You can get 3 of my favorite beers, 3 of Jacques' favorite beers at a discounted price at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. But let's move on, shall we?
Yes.
Let's get to this next one. This is a brewery out of Austin, Texas that makes a couple, their IPA I love, and I'll tell you this. This, to me, is one of the better porters that you're going to have. It is the 512, which is Austin's area code, obviously, for those that don't know. The 512 Pecan Porter out of Austin, Texas. So this is obviously going to give you those roasty flavors that you're looking for in a porter. It's going to be light. It's going to be a little bit lower on the ABV, but at the same time, it's telling you in the title, it's brewed with organic pecans. So you're going to get a nutty flavor. You're going to get that pecan flavor. I've had this beer multiple times in the past. It is a damn good porter.
Now, the interesting thing about this is Matt was talking about this the other day and saying, hey, if you ever get a chance to try this, you'll love it. And I go, that sounds strangely familiar. Duh. I didn't realize Deidre had given it to me to taste.
So good.
And so I was, so when he said that, I was really kind of like geeked about, I can't wait to give this one a shot.
It's very good. The pecan flavor comes through, but it's not overwhelming. You still get roast. You get a lot of roast. Obviously, as a porter, it's a thinner mouthfeel. It's very light. It's easy. It's a lower ABV with great flavor for a porter.
It's just okay to me.
I mean, it's really good.
I'm disappointed.
It's really good.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
And you know why it's just okay to me, probably?
I built it up too high for you.
One, you built it up too high. And 2,
I was afraid of that.
Because it's a porter, it's not quite as full.
Right.
And so they probably did it perfect, but I'm a damn stout dude, man. I mean, look at me.
Indeed.
Stout. I mean, look at this. Stout.
Yeah, this is one of those things.
When you get me, and so it's not as bad. It's just kind of meh. I'm gonna take another sip, not the whole thing, just another sip, to make sure I didn't miss anything on the flavor.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Because I gotta tell you, it's a tad bit disappointing.
It's 6.2% ABV, but I feel like those organic Texas pecans really come through. You get a nice nutty flavor on that of the pecans. Good roast on the malt. But again, and see, that's your thing.
Second time through, nah. But
I agree with you, and here's the problem with porters. For people that are big-time stout drinkers, and I also prefer stouts, as do you, when you're a big-time stout drinker, you see the dark beer, you smell the flavors of a stout.
And you're like, yeah, baby.
So when you take the sip, you're in your mind, you're thinking velvety, thick richness, and when you don't get this, you go, nah. But you're not drinking a stout, you're drinking a porter, and this is brewed very damn well for a porter.
Let me tell y'all what happened. I met her at the club. I took her home. Her hair was fake.
She took off her shirt,
fake.
and you're like, oh my God, really?
Her eyelashes were fake.
Put the bra back on.
Her booty was fake. Everything was fake. I said, but girl, you look like a stout. She goes, I'm a porter, baby. And I said, oh, my bad.
Okay, fair enough. But it's interesting because there are people that prefer porters because of it's not as heavy. You can drink more porters than you can drink stouts.
I'd rather have one.
Yes? You'd rather have one than a threesome?
Let me just leave it at that.
Let's move on. My parents watch this. But yes, the 512 Pecan Porter available for you at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Thumbs up. It's a really, really good porter.
It's our final beer of the day. Gingerbread Snapped, a strong ale. Now, what is this as opposed to a weak-ass ale?
Well, strong ale is generally going to be a little bit higher. It's probably maltier with a little bit higher of an ABV, hence strong
8.0?
ale.
Is that much for an 8 ABV?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that would be considered like anything imperial would be over 7%. So the fact that it's a strong ale, so it's going to be lighter, which you can tell in the pour. It's not a stout. Keep that in mind. Now, they've got gingerbread all over the can. Now, I don't know how they brewed this. I would imagine it's with gingerbread of some sort. But Wild Acre is a really cool place. They have a couple of locations in Fort Worth. Their main one that's over there just to this, what is that, the southeast of downtown Fort Worth. And then the other one that they just opened in Fort Worth. Great place. Really cool tap room and a great patio. So this is the Wild Acre Ginger Snap Strong Ale. Oh, yeah, you get that. And so this is a Christmas beer. And this will be interesting because Christmas ales generally,
gingerbread in there,
yeah,
bro.
Christmas ales generally will tend to have some gingerbread or allspice or those Christmas type flavors. Like even sometimes we'll have a little spruce in them.
I don't know if I'm going to like that.
Those Christmas type aromas that you're looking for on the nose that will sometimes come through in the flavor.
What do you drink with this? I mean, what do you eat with this?
You could eat it with dessert. You could eat it with gingerbread. You could eat it with like a cake of some sort or Christmas desserts. I mean, this is what's the 8%? So it's going to be light on the mouth, but not light in body, if that makes sense.
All right.
So check it out. Here it is.
Wild Acres Gingerbread Snap.
Tastes like gingerbread. I mean, that's what you would expect. That tastes like eating a gingerbread cookie. And I got to tell you, the mouth is not as thin as I would have expected. It's not rich, it's not full, but like I said, at 8%, it's a light mouth, but also a more full mouth than you would expect in a beer of this color.
I got to tell you, now listen to me, okay? I don't like this, but it's so well done. Now,
that's
why?
good.
And I say I don't like it because it's a really sweet beer, and it's a lot of flavor in it,
Yeah.
and it tastes just like a gingerbread cookie. They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yes, sir.
So that's why I said it's very well done, but damn, it's sweet. It's too sweet for your pork, but it's well done. So if you like
great.
that, you'll love this.
Yeah, this is a really, really good. And I'll tell you this, there are a
You see how
variety
I've
of
matured in my palate and my
Yeah, and
conversation?
there are a variety of Christmas beers that are out there. This is obviously one of those. Anytime you see gingerbread or Christmas ale or what have you, spiced ale, sometimes they'll call it that. This is the type of year, mid-November, that they start coming out so you can enjoy those. This tastes like fall. This tastes like Christmas. Yeah. Well done. That's the Wild Acre Gingerbread Snap. So that'll do it. Just a sip. All these beers available for you at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Check them out. Support them. Local family-owned place right off the square in downtown Rockwall. They need your support. They'd love your support. Let them know you heard about it on Jam Session, and they'll get you taken care of. And don't forget to ask about the Jam Session 6-pack. They will be offering a discount on that Jam Session 6-pack. 3 of my favorite beers, 3 of Jacques' favorite beers, all available for you. And it'll be 6 different beers in one simple, easy 6-pack.
I heard you get an extra 1% off if you ask for the Jam Session 6-pack.
Is that what you heard?
That's what I heard. I can't verify it. That's just what I heard.
It's awesome.
The Jam Session 6-pack.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. Here we go as we continue on this version of the podcast, and we are out here, as we do every Thursday, at a local craft brewery. We are at False Idol Brewing. We were just talking about this. It's off Boulevard 26, off of 183 and 820 here in North Richland Hills, and we are with the founders, the owners, the geniuses that prompted this entire thing, Dom and Brandon, sitting down with us. Hi, guys.
What's up, fellas? What up?
What's going on?
Is this good?
Yeah, it's fine. You sound great.
Okay.
All right, let's dive into this right away. I've had the peanut butter and jelly beer.
Ooh.
I got to tell you, I was a little apprehensive just because it's peanut butter and jelly. But the impressive thing about this is, I'm curious. It tastes like peanut butter and jelly.
Is that why it's called peanut butter and jelly?
But I really thought I'd get a much more of a peanut butter taste.
Right.
How you get them both in there?
So he used raspberry puree and he did a couple of brewer's secrets to kind of get that like really kind of almost like silky,
really like peanut
a
butter sandwich
texture on there, and so it wasn't like too crazy as we have a butterfly flying in to say hello.
You know, I enjoy all these different kinds of beers. Whose idea was it to come up with a peanut butter beer?
For that one,
At least this one.
That one's Will.
All right, now when he brings, how's that work? He just goes, "Hey, I want a peanut butter beer," and y'all go, "Cool," or you go, "Well, let's talk about this for a second, bro."
Well, that one's a tap room variant, so there's only one keg. So we tend to let him have some creative license on some things, and everything. A lot of other things are conversations between us, and whether it's Dom and him, the three of us, myself and Will, there are conversations that happen to, what's our board looking like? Are we missing something, from our tap wall? What do we need to plan out? Different things like this. So there are all kinds of different conversations, or, do we need to have a tap room variant, or we need to plan an event? Do we need to start lining up some things? So it all changes. It especially changes now that we're in a rhythm. We're able to have more taps filled. Now then we can start essentially adding to our kind of quote cellar of like different things to play with later on, and one-offs and different things like that.
How many taps should there be in a base?
How many taps should there be in a place?
In a base, like, our base, most tap rooms have like 5 or 8
I would say your average is probably like 10 to around 10.
Yeah, and it's weird too because some breweries are different to me because some breweries will have. God, you go to like Avery in Colorado and they've got like 40 taps or something like that. It's insane.
From their own stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But they have all kinds of different barrels they can brew on. Some places you walk. I was at a place last night that had 24 taps. I was like, this place does not need to have 24 taps. Like, there's no
because they can't brew 24 good ones.
Well, no, because it wasn't a brewery. It was a place that it was a restaurant bar that had 24 taps. But here's what happens, right? So you have 24 taps. You're not turning all of them super quick. So people are going to come in and drink probably 12 of them, and they'll turn those, and then what happens? So the beer sits on the other 12 taps over time.
So that's stale beer.
Well, yeah, and then you either got to discount it so you can actually move it, or you sit on it, the beer can expire depending on what it is. You never know what the place could be. But like in a brewery, I think it's badass that you guys have as many taps as you do. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Like right now, we have a couple taken up by a cider, wine.
I saw that.
Seltzer now.
Is that just for somebody like I used to be, who was not a beer drinker? You come in and you got something too?
Right. Yeah. It's to remove any vetoes. It's your plus ones, and you're like, no, I'm not going there. They don't have anything I can drink. So those are like against the veto votes.
Yeah, there you go. And Side Boob's Trinity, right?
Side Boobs.
Yeah. Side Boob's Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity Cider down in Deep Ellum does Side Boobs. The name of the cider, that particular flavor, is Side Boob.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, it's good, man. Trinity makes good stuff. I like it. I'm not a big cider fan, but of the ciders in the area, Trinity to me is my favorite cidery.
Yeah, they're bringing a blackberry one next, so called Miso Thorny. So
they have some good names, dude. Yeah. So jam session, for those watching or those listening, the jam session is still on. So you guys need to come and drink that. I'll probably have one before we leave.
Yeah, I heard that was your hottest selling beer.
It's still here, so I don't know.
No, it did really well. So, sold out in cans pretty quick, and like we said, since we do have a lot of taps, while things can move, there's fluctuations in how this business goes right now. But no, it's doing well. It's
So you guys
won't be here much longer.
So you were talking about the process of the peanut butter and jelly beer. Do you guys ever have one where, whether it's one of y'all or Will or somebody's coming in, like of the brain trust or whatever of the brewery, where you say, hey, let's brew this, and one of you's like, I don't think so. I don't know if that's going to work, and it gets shot down? Or is it just, hey, let's try it and see?
I don't think we ran into that yet. It's more of like when it's done and then we all try it and we're like, we have our opinion on it.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I think we've all had our one that we're like, I don't like this beer. It's my least favorite beer we've ever done. And then we look at the ratings or like the numbers on it and we're like, people like it. So it's I think it helps that we have 3 heads, and also we listen to our consumers.
Do you ever have one that all 3 of you guys, like when you, and like, so when you're doing that, are you brewing on a pilot system? Or are you just brewing it like to brew it? Pretty much. You'll, like if you guys, you brew something on the main tanks,
right,
and it brews, and you put it out there. If you all 3 try it, do you just dump it if you don't like it?
No, more tweak.
All right,
like make it.
Yeah, make it.
Yeah, make it something.
Yeah,
I got you.
So like with our Berliner, we do a base, and so when we do a big batch, before we do like the big batch fruit, we can pull off kegs, and basically that's how we get the variants on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So a caveat to that. Now, if it was like off flavors and it was made poorly or like it somehow got infected or something, that's a different story.
Right. Yeah,
that goes down the drain.
Right. Yeah.
No, if it's just like all our own personal like tastes, it's.
But yeah, there's no. It's not flawed. I was talking about that, not flaws. Like flaws is a completely different realm of beer.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, if you ever have like a style or something where one of you guys is, I mean, it could be something like weird as whatever, like like a Scotch ale or something that you don't see a lot of, whatever it is. Like, there's so many random styles that are out there, where you're like, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna work, and you get in a fight and you argue and you wrestle or whatever.
Well, if anyone's expecting a Scotch ale to fly off the wall, then they need a lesson in what sells. Yeah.
No, I think we kind of. Every so often when we're talking about production schedule, it's more of like, because we know like hazies make our money, and I know it's probably a little tiring. You're making the same beer and you're not actually getting to go back to make another beer again a second time, so you're just making new beers all the time. So I know it's a little probably restless for Will, and so sometimes I'll just be like, what do you want to make? What have you not made yet that you want to make? And a lot of times I think he's smart enough to know, like, he'll be like, well, I want to do this, but maybe we should just do this instead. Because he'll be like, we've been listening to feedback, and he's like, people have been asking for ambers or porters or brown ales, actually.
Really?
And we're like, we're not going to make those. So we come to a happy medium. So we actually have a Vienna lager coming out, and that's kind of like the middle of the road. So,
and it'll be really good.
Yeah, his lagers have been awesome. They've been getting better and better every time. So
yeah, I was gonna say a brown ale. Like, that's the one style to me. Like brown ale, like even Kolsch. Like brown ale is up there with Kolsch to me. At least brown ale, in my estimation, has a little bit more flavor just naturally out of the brew of it. Like you're not feeling like, oh great, a Kolsch, how exciting, and then you got to load it with whatever to actually make it where I want to drink it. Kolsch to me.
Deal on brown ale.
What's the deal?
Yeah, it's not in my wheelhouse. So what is that?
Whose wheelhouse is it in? It's a brown ale.
People from Europe.
People who drink Newcastle.
European.
I was going to say,
so
like people from where's the Tommy Knocker that does that good brown that's in the middle of nowhere in Colorado? Idaho Springs. Yeah.
I think they closed.
So
I wonder why.
Too many brown ales.
All right. Picture the thinnest stout that you've ever had, and cross it with a shiner, and that's in the realm of what a brown ale is.
I mean, there's
as far as flavor profile.
Like Moose Drool from Big Sky.
So it's all kind of weak.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of this and nothing else.
It's like a sessionable malt beer.
It's like really malty and nutty.
It's in limbo. So it's
That's what I mean.
It's in limbo.
It's a
dark beer in limbo. It's a dark beer in limbo.
I like Moose Drool. Big Sky out of Montana does one called Moose Drool, which is pretty good.
But they pulled out of market because no one bought their beer.
See? And that's because nobody wants a brown ale.
Yeah.
See, and I get it, like the whole thing about like, you could get bored brewing hazies. And I think that's smart you guys do that, where you go to the brewer and say, hey, you have a brain, you have creativity. What do you want to brew that keeps you interested in this? But because to understand, that the idea of because a lot of brewers have to realize, like, we have to produce beer people buy. Like, we're trying to make a profit here, Right. But at the same time, the people that run the brewery, I've always thought, have to have the understanding of, we can't burn our brewer out. Be like, no, you can't make creative stuff.
Yeah.
Stick to this. And then 6 months later, like,
make me another lager.
I'm going somewhere else.
Right. I mean, that's a reason for 2 tanks right behind you. So those are his like pet projects. Like Will loves saisons, like loves Brett stuff. It's a brewer thing, man. It's a brewer thing.
Saison.
And so like he loves like Brett beer and all that kind of stuff. So and done well, they can be really good. They're just not volume drivers, and they're things to play with and different things. But that's what those 2 tanks behind you are for, so that he can do some creative things and things that we, like Dom and I, know how to make sure it gets into a good like marketing sort of like place as far as what's approachable and what's sought after in that sort of vein. But it also allows him to kind of have a creative license on even more so on those.
Which I think is key. Like, you need that in the brewing world, because as we know, not a lot of breweries are doing that. And since some breweries, you see a ton of brewer turnover because of things like that, which is interesting. So I know we've talked about this before, but we didn't get a chance. We had some technical difficulties last time we sat down with you guys, so I kind of want to get into the origin story again.
You pushed delete?
Yeah, technically it was my fault, but we upgraded and we're good. Although I will say is that instance taught, like, we invested. I mean, you guys can see the equipment that we're using on YouTube here. You know, we upgraded to make sure things sound the way we want them to sound. It's easy. I mean, it takes a while to set this stuff up, but it's plug and play once you get going, you know, and it sounds great. That's why I'm wearing these headphones, because my voice sounds incredible on this microphone.
hey, watch out over there.
Right? But so how do you get into, because you guys, when I met y'all, you were working for Full Clip, which is a craft beer distributor here in the DFW area. So at what point does the idea begin, the seed begin to get planted of, okay, let's start actually seriously consider a brewery and start this dream?
For me, I always wanted to do something on my own. I never knew what exactly, and I think that was the same for him. And for me, my original idea was, it was always going to be me and my dad doing something, and it was a growler bar originally. And we looked at a spot, and like we talked to like a leasing manager, and we went through all the business stuff, and we kind of like looked at ourselves and we're like, I don't think we're ready to do this. This was like 2016. We're like, we don't know anything.
Just the investment part? Like, we don't want to invest
more
as much
of the
money
information, like the little loopholes, the little tricks of the trade, like and kind of that's where he kind of, like when we joined as a team, it answered some of the questions we didn't know, and then kind of mixed well. Because his dad was a broker, he helped with getting the property figured out. And like, because the one thing that stopped us in the growler bar is they told us that the property wasn't right for our use, even though it was. But now I know that now. I didn't know that then.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, we got restless. We were tired of working for people, and you don't get anything.
Happens.
You don't get everything that you put into the work. Back. And now we do. We sat down, had dinner with us, and we're just like, we got to do something. And originally it was called, what was the brewery? Where do you live?
Alliance Brew Pub.
Yeah, Alliance Brew Pub was the original name.
Really?
It was going to be very vanilla.
Was it going to be up in Alliance?
But it was going to be in Alliance. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that
so
was the point.
we went back to the drawing board. That was probably like 2017.
17.
So, and then 2018 April, I was like, all right, we kind of, it was 6 months past. We're just sitting there like, well, I guess it's gonna happen or it's not. And then I was like, I'm just gonna get on this. Like we started moving, putting the branding together. We stuck with False Idol. Kind of the name came from beer being a false idol for beer nerds, essentially. Not having the priorities in order, essentially. And so we ran with that. We both agreed. No anti-Christian stuff, not like Three Floyds or anything. So we've stuck with that so far.
I mean, they go way out there sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't turn off the Christians, man.
So that's pretty much where the journey started. 2018, branding, glassware, shirts, just getting the feet on the ground and making like, hey, we're starting a brewery. We don't know where, but we're starting a brewery, and people were kind of getting excited because we've been in the industry long enough where people kind of, I think we knew enough about the industry that we would make the right decisions, and so there was an excitement for our brand.
That's true, because I remember when you guys first started putting it out, and it was like, okay, well, when's this going to happen? You know, like you kept hearing about it, and I thought that was interesting because you guys had stuff like shirts and like the branding materials well before any beer ever came out.
Mm-hmm.
How come?
Yeah.
Well, I don't brew and he doesn't brew. We both have tried. If we were giving out our own beer, everyone would have said, I'm done with them.
But that's the point. Like, I mean, I think some of the smartest people in the world are not necessarily the smartest people in the world, but they're the smartest because they surround themselves with smarter people in certain sections of what they do. So have your guy be the best X, have your guy be the best A, have another guy be the best C that he can be. And so, delegate and conquer. And so neither one of us were going to make or have spent the time to learn and to be one of the best brewers in the world, so we're not going to play that way. We don't want to have just like a brewery that you open up and come visit us because we're right here. It doesn't make it doesn't work.
Yeah,
it's not 2010 anymore. You have to have great beer. You have to have great marketing. You have to have great people. If somebody isn't good people, then like, why are you going to come back? So there was some rude staff. You're going to come back for... People come back for bad beer
at a good spot.
At a friendly place.
Y'all do it
way better before... way before they'll come back to great beer and crappy people. So it's
smart, man.
It's it all works together, and so there are so many things that are involved, and like we were just talking about. And so it's for us, it's about the people. We want to have we want you to have wonderful, amazing beer, but realize that it's who you're sharing that beer with that makes it infinitely better.
Yes.
I'm down with that, fellas.
So am I, man. Like that's, I mean, I don't know how you put that in a mission statement or something, but that's what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, really,
is.
right?
Right.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Share great beer with great people, man.
Yeah,
that's
because I think, and that's something that we started this whole thing with the pod. Oh, you can hand it. Yeah, it's fine. No, see, look at this. Another one. This is a jam session beer for all of you. You can get it. It's on tap right now at False Idol here in North Richland Hills. If you're listening on the podcast, swing by and try it on tap. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that we're finding out with the process that we're doing. And, we're just a month into doing this podcast. And one of the things with me especially is patience and the almost trial and error part of it, where, like sitting down with you guys, for those that don't know, we actually were here like a month ago and the audio just didn't work. And that's why we invested in this equipment. I was like, we can't ever do this again. Like this, I'm not putting my name behind the way it sounded. I was like, it's just inexcusable to me. So we've got to upgrade and invest. But that was trial and error. Like we didn't know, because that was at the very beginning. Yeah. And there's some other things that we have done throughout this process that we're learning, people that we talk to that we think, and I'm sure you ran into this too, like people that we thought might come through or whatever that don't necessarily, and then you realize, okay, maybe I need a little bit more firm or stand up more, say no, it is okay to be like, look, dude, it's either this or that. I'm sorry, there's just no middle ground. Because you're trying to build something.
I think you learn who's hungry and who's not. Like, I knew that quick, like, you knew who was going to do the things they said they were going to do and who wasn't. And so you took those people that were with you, and the people that aren't, they're not with you anymore. And
that makes sense.
You learn that, and then obviously like, oh yeah, I can do all this and that, and then they come and show you, and they're like, it's not that good. But you got to be honest, or else you're stuck with a bad product or something.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too, because we'll let this pass so you guys can hear us. Go get them, boys. That's the worst, when you're stuck when you're behind an ambulance, at night, and they have the light on, and you see the guy just kind of like shrug his shoulders, and you're like, oh no.
This is really good.
It is.
You didn't try this.
No, Jacob, our buddy Jacob, who we've both known for a long time, works for a liquor distributor, and he brought in some Maker's Mark, and you guys are sipping on that. I was like, man, I can't.
It's like liquid fire.
I can't jump to liquor today. I'm a beer guy almost 100% of the time. If I'm at home, I'll drink liquor, but I rarely drink liquor when I'm out. It just hits me in a different way.
Smart guy.
Sometimes. So at what point do you go, because like you were saying, okay, we're going to call it Alliance Brew Pub, and then eventually it winds up, we're going to buy what, and I don't know for sure what this used to be. I'm assuming it used to be like an auto shop. Yeah.
An auto body shop.
Because you have the doors that raise up. So at what point do you find this property and say, okay, this is it?
All right. Well, I mean, there are a lot of things. So like he was saying, we looked in Alliance. We felt it was too big of a leap of faith, and like we not leap of faith, but just an unwise business decision to pay for $40 to $50 a square foot there, like they wanted, and so it just didn't financially. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And so we looked in Dallas and parts of there, and wasn't much different. And one of the things about this area is, at the time, there was essentially like a kind of like a dry dock area as far as breweries are concerned. We're not the closest to everybody, but we're not the furthest, because we're 25 minutes from Dallas, 25 minutes from where I live in North Fort Worth. We can 15 minutes from downtown Fort Worth. Yeah. We're right off a major highway and right off a 4-lane. It's really easy to get to, and it just, for this place, it made sense for our future. We have some negotiations in our contract that make it very prime spot for this specific
very friendly
spot
for you guys.
And so it allowed us to hit the ground running and not be really. I mean, we negotiated for a certain amount of free rent. We negotiated, in different things. And if we hadn't done that, it might have been a different story. But it's not. But we are always going to make it work. But it's everything's a piece of the pie. We have got to look at everything, and so this place was us, and we've had to make it work, even despite the little obstacles our municipality likes to throw our way.
Right.
But that's the way small business is. You just got to pivot, make it work, find a way to make it work, and we've done that. And so
I think the biggest thing too is like now since COVID happened, is you see the businesses that I want to say they're stupid, but like if you have $20,000 rent and you're like doing well at a certain period of time, and then COVID happens, and then you're screwed.
Yeah, you have no choice.
If you didn't, didn't set yourself up for success for all walks, like essentially all environmental situations that you can't control.
Yeah.
And so we're in a good spot. Our rent's really low, and then like I'm talking about the city that. It's weird. They're like Jekyll and Hyde. There is a half of the city that loves us, and they're awesome. They're the reason we're here. They actually took us on a tour.
Yeah.
They showed us this place. It wasn't even our first choice. This was probably our second or third choice. I think.
Really? Huh.
But it was the cheapest. It was the cheapest choice.
Well, that helps.
With like size and parking lot, like it just made
for all
sense.
inclusive. Yeah.
It was my first. It was.
We knew it was going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. It was going to take a lot of work, but the fact that we can own it is
he had a vision.
Pretty awesome.
Is a big deal.
He had a vision for the interior. I'd say he had a big part. Like, I mean, pretty much 100% of the part of why the place looks the way it is in here because of him. He put it together with the architect.
Looks pretty damn good, man.
How come?
We had a different role. But I was worried about getting the loan, TTB, TABC, certain things, and I was like, all right, you do this. And we kind of split. We try to. Everyone has to have a job, and that's something that I don't know if we mention it, but. Bill Belichick says this all the time. He's like, do your job. Yep. Everyone has a role. I say that all the time.
Yeah, we talked.
I agree.
We talked a little bit like have the best guy at A, best guy at B, best guy at C, and
why'd you pick this look?
This look?
It's Cowboys.
Do what?
We're not getting into Cowboys talk. We'll just get in a fight.
So you know what? This
It'll be a dog fight.
Keep going with the look, and then I'll tell the funny story of how it's ironic that we picked the Cowboys.
Right. So as far as the look, I really wanted something. I really like the industrial look, but I also wanted to bring in wood to like give it a little bit of like warmth, and so I think what I wanted to really go for is an inviting space that's not a really grungy, like for all of it, like for potential people who have never been in a brewery before, don't know what like a lot of breweries look like. I wanted something clean, wanted something nice, like inviting to sit down, but at the same time, it goes really well with, all of our tanks and all of our production equipment. Yeah. And so everything kind of is a little cohesive and tied together, And so, and we've done different things. We've had to, built the tables, built the countertops.
It's nice. I mean, this is a great tap room.
It's
like a really nice. It is for real. Seriously,
that looks good. Yeah, Brandon and Juan put together pretty much every table outside of the. Actually, Juan had pretty much his hand on everything that was put together in here. Brandon and Juan put together the inside tables. Juan and I helped. We didn't have to do anything. They were already. We just had to like screw them together. The picnic tables. But yeah, we had to inch our way to get all the furniture, like the chairs and stuff. For sure.
I mean, I like these tables because they've got, I don't know what is this, a finish or gloss or whatever.
Epoxy.
Yeah, I mean, they look nice. Every chair in here, and the inside has a back so you can lean, which I like, And then you have this cool area. It's not like a massive patio, but it looks big.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 750 square foot patio. So,
and you guys put the artificial graph on there, which I think is it's really cool, and I love the doors.
For dogs, yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here, and those of you who are watching on YouTube obviously can see this. Those of you that will be listening to this on the podcast, because this was an auto body shop, you have these giant garage doors that you can open up. It's 75 degrees out right now. We're technically sitting inside, but we're right next to one of the open garage doors, and it's fantastic. I mean, this is great. I mean, we're not at the beach, but, I mean, this is super relaxing,
Yeah, we ain't at the beach, but,
No, I think this is a great, and you know this, I talk about this all the time with tap rooms, because I know you guys have too.
cozy talk on this.
I've been to pretty much every tap room in North Texas except for a couple that opened during the pandemic. You know, and this is one of those to me, because you can go to tap rooms that are cold and uninviting. Like without even talking to the staff, like the moment you walk in, just something's off.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can walk into tap rooms, and they tend to be some of the ones that I visit more regularly, where just somehow there's the way it's set up, the way it's structured, and this is one of those to me that when you walk in here, it's clean, but there's a warmth to it. Like it's not cold.
Right.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like this has a good vibe when you walk in, that I think even if you don't know anybody in the beer industry and you've never been in here before and you're a craft beer newbie, that you can walk in and be like, okay, cool. Like I feel comfortable walking in here and be like, excuse me, I drink whatever domestic light there is. And then people go, I got you. Because we know that. Sometimes you can walk into a place and you're like, I don't know if I feel out of place here.
Right.
Because the craft beer world, I mean, I'm not that snobby. Like I love helping new people find a beer, but there are people who are like, really? Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so you don't really know craft beer, otherwise you'd help this person.
I too like helping newbies find beers.
I bet you do now. Oh, I just poured on myself.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I didn't know it was so full.
I broke it down for somebody the other day.
These murals are new.
Yeah.
This one was
this
here.
chick with the full red lips, man.
No, the red lips was here. I was here 2 weeks, 10 days ago, whenever.
I'm looking at it like,
and it was here. That one is brand new.
It was just finished like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was not here. Who did those? Because these murals are badass.
Same person.
I mean, those are impressive.
So it's life is fire backwards.
Backwards, yeah.
I don't know how to.
That's cool. We'll just go life is fire in a mirror.
Aerosol fall art or something. Yeah.
Aerosol, yeah.
I mean, look at that wolf, man. I mean, one of them over here obviously you guys are listening to this, you can't see it. There's a giant wolf on a wall with like, what is that, clouds or snow or some shit, I don't know. And then you've got like this chain. I mean, that is badass.
So it's kind of like the comic book story, like at least the depiction of Fenrir breaking out of the chains. But we kind of put a little twist to it because he has a ghost eye. And so it kind of goes with the ghost eye story.
The ghost eye Berliner, which is where that comes from, and the whole
that
thing
beer's
about
taking
False
its
Idol.
own thing, and so that's going to be around for a while. And then the one back here is when we were talking about the concept, because this was her freestyle. I was like, you can do whatever you want. We originally were like, oh yeah, it's Lady Sif, or it's like a Lady Odin, but it's Eir, E-I-R.
Okay.
Who's essentially the protector. She's a goddess, a Norse goddess that basically can heal, and she's a protector. So they would take her on the battlefield, and she was kind of a Norn essentially, and they would say, okay, you can. She's like, I'm gonna heal you, or I'm just gonna let you die.
Yeah.
She had power to basically decide your life or death. And so she's our protector.
That's pretty badass, man. I was gonna say, because that one with the lady, I wondered, like, that's the type of thing that like a tattoo, you know what I mean? Like that's like a part of a sleeve or whatever.
The circle thing is I'm going to blank. The elm, what's it called? Elmava, which is also a symbol of protection.
Okay.
Yeah. In Norse.
All right, like Trojan or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Magnum.
That's Trojan makes Magnum.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least I didn't say it.
You can tell the ones that actually have to use the Magnum.
He had a whole peanut butter and jelly time.
God damn, you did.
Yeah.
You want another beer?
Nah, bro.
No, you can have another.
Let's turn the stack.
I'll start slapping the table. It'll get real interesting.
No, so I think, and I just want to address this on YouTube real quick, because we have some YouTube Live guys, and we just decided to put this on YouTube Live so people can go back and watch it later. But somebody goes, do you guys even talk sports anymore? Obviously, you don't listen to the podcast, because, again, the podcast, here's what we do. The podcast is guys talking about sports, and I love craft beer. I love the craft beer community. I brought Jacques into it. I have a lot of very good friends in the craft beer world. So every week on Thursdays, we are at a local craft brewery. And then those of you that are listening to this on the podcast will hear this on Friday or whenever you listen into it. But if you listen to the podcast and you go download the podcast, our first conversation on there, we actually have 3 Cowboys conversations, a conversation about the Masters, and some other sports conversation we had today.
We did an hour and a half on sports before we came here.
But this is what I always find interesting is, and this happened on the radio, people will listen to you for 4 hours on the radio, and they tune in during the 15 minutes you're not talking sports. Like, I don't ever listen to you guys, you don't ever talk sports. Like, okay, so 85% of what we do is sports, but the 15% pisses you off. So if that's your problem, I don't know what there's your answer. That's just how I feel about it.
Awesome. I wish we could do that.
It happens from time to time.
No, but I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just telling you how it is. I mean, reality of it is we talk about things we're interested in. I love the craft beer world. I think a lot of people are really into it. And on the podcast, there's timestamps. If this isn't your thing, I'm not cool. That's fine with me. You can decide how you want to interpret it and jump in on it. But there are a lot of people that listen to us that are big craft beer fans, and we like to talk craft beer with them, and they like us talking craft beer. But I would encourage you, guy who asked the question, watch tomorrow.
What does our card say, fellas?
Yeah, I was going to ask because I couldn't remember our tagline.
What's
what
our card say?
Jam session. Good people having great conversations about sports, craft beer, and life.
I mean, welcome to it, man. That's what's so great about this.
Yeah.
And again, we're not on ESPN anymore. We'll be on the Ticket on Sunday and Monday filling in for Dan and Jake. But reality of it is,
B1
man,
for life.
Here's what, you want to know what we do? We do good conversation. Which is why I like hanging out with beer people, because beer people have good conversation.
Yeah, which is different than a debate show like First Take or anything else.
No, because I think it's really interesting.
A hot take?
Well, God, we're not getting into your hot takes yet.
Stupid.
You can calm down.
I need to make some atrocious Skip Bayless
No, but I think it's one of those things where I've always enjoyed really good conversation, and you can have great conversations about sports, about beer. There's a lot of different things in life you can have conversations.
Thank you.
You said more.
But I always, and you know this, and I've told you guys this before too, I always like talking to people, and a lot of people in the craft beer world are similar to me to what I've been trying to do my whole life and what we're doing with the podcast, is people that have a dream, that wanted to do something on their own like you guys talked about. It's not easy. You got to work your ass off. You run into all kinds of obstacles along the way. Or people that say, "Hey, man, maybe you shouldn't be doing. Try something else where you can actually make real money." Mm-hmm. But you're so driven by something that the appeal to it. And I like to talk with those people. And a lot of people in the local craft beer world are that way. Even to be fair, even the ones that have sold out that we don't have to name, we know who they are.
Hey, but
they started that way.
Right. But was it Is that your plan? Is that your goal? What are you trying to get out of it? Did you grow into a passion and it became so big and honestly you had to do I have to do Blood and Honey again and again and again. Well, F it, I'll take 50 mil and I can go start my own another thing, but I can do whatever I want.
Shit, okay. Now they got there's Blood and Honey, the wheat beer, and I saw there's a billboard. There's another Blood and Honey blonde ale.
I don't know. Yeah, it's so something weird.
Not even those guys. There's a bunch that have locally.
Just on that, it's just confusing now. I guess they're trying to.
But I think it's one of those things where everybody starts with something, I'll tell you guys this.
Redundant.
And we can mention this now. We had
breaking news?
Well, obviously we were talking about it earlier, but we had a national podcast company approach us about buying the podcast, essentially.
Okay. Nice.
And we looked at, leasing it, I should say.
Okay.
And we looked at it, and they sent us this long-ass contract. We're looking at it, I was like, I'm not doing, no. There's no way I'm agreeing to half the crap in this. I don't care. But I would say, and this is where I think this comes in, if they were going to say, we're going to give you $20 million, okay, then, that's life-changing, generational changing money.
Go buy a yacht, start a new podcast.
I think having creative control of what we do, and in a sense what you guys are doing, having control of that, it is, you're having success, people love what you guys are doing. I think that goes a long way.
I think the control thing is always good.
Oh, for sure.
Because then if you fail, it's on, if we fail, it's on us. We did it our way. It didn't work. So it is what it is.
And it's funny, too, because you're probably working more now. I mean, I don't know, full clip, you worked your ass off, but you're probably working more now than you ever have.
That's
not
life
work.
of a small business.
Yeah, but you don't even, a lot of the times, I was telling him, because we wear so many different hats, you guys are talking about splitting up the responsibilities to start it, and that's what we've kind of done. He does certain things, I do certain things, trying to get this going and connecting with people and making it work and getting the word out that this is a thing that exists. Try us. We're not beer, but try us. Give us a listen, whatever. And you end up working more than we were. At least I have been. And sometimes I look around and go, man, I feel like I need to work today. It's I actually did. But I love doing. And when you're investing in yourself and in your passion, then the rewards that you reap, even if they seem small to other people, are really big. And you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you have to do as a small business and a team, you have to understand everyone's strengths and weaknesses. That's the hardest thing to do, because you have to realize your weaknesses and admit them.
Right.
So I think we've done a good job of that.
So I'm curious about this, the future of what you guys want to do, because I feel like a lot of breweries, and I wonder this question, and we know some of the breweries that have decided to become production breweries, and they bring in, not that you guys have space for 240s, but they'll bring in 240s or whatever. Maybe you do outside. I don't know where you put them. But point being, do you feel like you've identified, like you're
open this up and
right? Is that
the fire,
the future?
fire line right there.
Like the future of I want to can, I want to expand, I want to distribute, or is it?
We get a canning line in January.
Okay. Because you guys know how difficult it is once you start packaging to get where you want to go.
I don't see us going into stores for package anytime soon.
Yeah, that's not our first play.
So what is the first play?
I think
if you can share it.
In terms of short-term milestones that I see for the business are 1,000 barrels in a year.
Right.
$1 million revenue. Which, I mean, I don't think we're far from that, honestly.
We're not. We'll hit. Well, I mean,
but these are just things that, like,
in a calendar year. Well, I mean, like if we were to extrapolate it, we will hit.
That's a good goal for us.
What else? I know we have plans to basically. So we just added a 10-barrel fermenter, and then these two 10s, which is weird because they look different, but these are the sour tanks. The barrel program is running next year. The plan is to basically have a consistent every month barrel program going from like June next year.
What's a barrel program?
Barrel aged stouts, barrel aged barley wines. So big ass beers to get you messed up.
Yeah, that'd be badass. So do you guys see yourself like? How do you? I guess I'm wondering.
You're saying, I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
You're going with this like where after this, right?
Yeah, because right now,
where after this?
How do you see? Like, how do you view yourself right now? Because, like, anytime I go to a brewery that's like this, it's more localized, do you view yourselves as a North Richland Hills community brewery? And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean, obviously, you're a Dallas-Fort Worth, North Texas.
I think that's
you're a destination brewery to me.
So the answer to that is multifaceted. One, it's on us to really get engaged with our community. And that'll... COVID has... really put a little
normal circumstance
strain on that, as well as there's some things hopefully in upcoming in later December or January, as far as being able to have food trucks and pop-ups and being able to have food in here, but that will help change some things. We're doing some other things. We're working on stuff that eventually we'll have a super nice coffee machine in here. So that means all day you can start with your coffee and end with your beer and come in and hang out. So we definitely want to. The local community needs a little bit more help as far as brewery wise. Like, what's a brewery? Yeah. What is that? And that's something that we'll continue to work on. That takes time. As far as outside, we want to be a destination. We've got things to do.
Got that.
We've got some things. We've got the beer. We've done the marketing. There's some other things that will. If you're not improving, then you're getting worse, in my opinion. Right? So you always have to look at it. But as far as making this the best it can be, there's plenty of work to do there. After that, then it's other. It won't be stores.
Yeah, see, because I wonder.
We'll have the plan is to have a second location in Dallas eventually.
Yes,
fancy. God,
there
you
we
guys
go.
are fancy.
There we go.
Maybe I can work there part time.
So So that's our goal is to have a satellite rather than
that makes sense. Yeah, because I wonder, because you guys know, and for those that don't, this is one of the highest rated breweries in the state of Texas, obviously in Dallas-Fort Worth. You guys are doing really, really good beer.
Top 3 brewery in DFW.
Yeah, and you guys, and you know that. Yeah. And I think, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Obviously, Turning Point is up there as well, in Celestial. And I wonder, because we can look at all the beers that we've ever wanted to try in breweries around the country that we'd all sit here and say, man, I want to go there or there. And a lot of those breweries are the ones, part of that is because they're very difficult to get their beer. And so they become that destination brewery, which kind of inflates the, I guess the mindset of, like Russian River is a great example of that. Oh my God, I'd love to go to Russian River. Great. Right? You fly into San Francisco, you rent a car, you drive out to Santa Rosa, and there you are.
Have you been? I've never been.
I never have. I have a buddy that went, you know, and
you make it sound so simple, but you haven't done it.
No, trust me. Well, we were going to go. The COVID threw a lot of wrenches in a lot of plans.
Yeah.
Like I try to do a beer trip once a year, sometimes twice, but it just depends. But I feel like you guys are on that map personally, you know, because here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, oh, yeah, these are great, these are really good. But as that expands, people start going, oh, shit, you know, we're in Dallas and this beer. So you fly into DFW, you're 15 minutes, if that, from DFW Airport. From these people, and of course, obviously with Turning Point being right there, I feel like that raises the whole level of Dallas of being able to fly in. I don't have to drive an hour and a half to get to you. I can fly into a major airport, probably for a good price, and I'm 10, 15 minutes from two of the highest rated breweries in the entire state.
I think that's why it helps that we're really good friends with them.
Yeah.
Like we actually
Absolutely.
have a collab on deck with them on Monday.
Yeah,
It's
really?
a Sour Pale Ale.
Yeah.
So, and we actually have a collab with Turning Point or Celestial tomorrow.
Yeah.
OKH Lager.
you know,
of course, the brewers decided these ones.
Oh, I bet.
the Cerberus of DFW beer. So we've got a collab with Celestial and Turning Point on Monday.
I will say this: Untapped is interesting. You know, all these websites everybody uses for beer, Beer Advocate, Untapped,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know, Rate Beer.
The Yelp of beer.
Right. You know, but and you got to take. If you know beer, you know. If you don't, then you look at it sometimes. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, for instance, and I'm not going to say what it is, but there's a brewery in East Texas that's the highest rated brewery in the state of Texas on Untapped. I've been to it, so you guys can go and experience
You
it
can
for
say
yourself.
it. What brewery is this?
You know, they're nice
True
people.
It's got to be true.
No. It's in
Pint?
no, it's in Winsboro, Texas.
It's the highest rated brewery in Texas.
Yeah, if you go to Untapped,
How
and
many
search-
ratings do they have?
A couple thousand. But I'll tell you this. But if you don't know Winsboro, this is true. This is true. If you don't know Winsboro, it's about 30 minutes south of Sulphur Springs, out in East Texas. I know Winsboro because my grandparents lived in Lake Quitman on the lake.
One in Sulphur Springs?
It's not backstory.
Not backstory?
No. I'm just go with it. All
I'm
right.
just gonna have to look it up.
You go there. It's in the middle of nowhere, and I'll tell you. And look, they're nice people, and their beer is solid, but it's not. It shouldn't be in the top 10. And it's the highest rated brewery in Texas. Point being, you got to do a little research when you're looking at breweries sometimes, and you look at people.
Cypress Creek.
There you go. So Dom just wants to drop it out there. It's Cypress Creek. You know, and it's one of those things where I always wonder, because you either know beer or you don't, and once you do, like you guys do really good stuff. As somebody that knows beer, and you guys know beer, obviously, Jacques is coming along. He knows that beer is really good. You know, this is really damn good beer, man.
I got a can of Return of the Stack in the fridge if you want one.
Yes, he does.
Look at that smile. That means yes.
No, but I think you guys should be proud of what you've done and what you've built and where you're going. And that's why I was just curious to have, because we never talked about the future, and I wonder that because I view, there's a couple of breweries in Dallas that I view that no matter what happens to the brewing industry or where it goes or Corona or whatever, that will survive because the quality of what they're doing is so high, and I think you guys are one of them.
I think, and I don't want to make this seem like a bad thing, but like if our beer is on the shelf at a local beer store, we're probably not doing so well. Like the reason, like we can sell enough beer in this place. Why sell it at another store?
See, and I think
in
there's
terms of beer to go, like package.
Right.
Like,
But I think there's a difference, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between a production brewery and a brewery that's trying to do that artistic, creative, almost neighborhood type brewery that we're going to brew what we want to brew. We don't care
It's
for
way different business models.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with
you
the
need to
production
have
of it.
like you should have probably this whole space plus some just for the production brewery.
Oh, easily.
I mean,
Easily.
it's not even close.
Sure.
Like, I mean, like.
But we all know the ones in Dallas that are production breweries, and
Yeah.
you can look at that. If you stack, honestly, you can blind taste them. If you do it, if you're producing for production, there's a difference between doing that and doing it for the love of beer in a creative way. And I think you guys are, you know, we know that. There's a few breweries that are doing that around Dallas, and
Yep.
those are the breweries people talk about a lot. So we're talking about you guys.
We definitely need more tanks.
If you think I'm talking about you, then I'm talking about you.
All right, well, I know we took up a lot of y'all's time. I know I can talk to you guys forever, and I know you got to go, Brandon, so sorry to hold you.
Hey, man.
He's got
you're
that,
good.
so I think he's still talking.
You good?
All right, I just wanted to make sure, but, you know,
Well, see, then the question always becomes, even though I kind of know the answer, did you grow up wanting to be brewers? Because nobody grows up and says, hey, I want to be a brewer.
I mean, we're not brewers. I will never.
That's right. I forgot. We've
never
already
take
talked
that
about
credit.
how you ain't
I'll
no good at
admit
brewing.
that I'll be his cellarman every once in a while. Like I'll
enough.
mash in and
All right.
help do like other stuff that especially when we were first going. You know,
You're getting up here at 5 a.m. mashing.
Well, yeah, when he was first learning, especially when he was first learning the brew house, it takes him a lot longer to get to know it, and so. You know, just doing the first couple of runs, I would be here, you know, 5, 6 in the morning to like help mash in and do that kind of stuff, and you know, be here until end of beer to go when we were stopping to sell them. But now he's gotten it more down to the science. Now we've got a couple of people that are helping him out, like 4 or 5 times a week for a couple hours. You know, and that's all part of a growing thing. Is like you transition to do what you can do at the time that you can make it happen, right?
Right.
And so, no, I never grew up saying I wanted to be a brewer. I think for me, I always knew I wanted to do my own thing, like you said. I always wanted to. I always felt like I put in 110% in anything I did for other people, and I always knew the return on that was not the same.
Yeah.
Like I could literally do my job half-ass and be the same as my colleagues, but you know, and get away with it.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And I could put in that like lack of effort. But that's not my jam. That's not how I roll, and I think that's when you're like that and you're wired like that. Then I think it means that you can, you know, there are always learning experiences, and you've got to get better. You constantly have to get better, but they're always learning things, learning curves.
We used to have a nickname for Brandon at Full Clip. He was the Bulldog. 'Cause you knew, like, so Joey, our GM,
right.
He's a mentor for me business-wise. He's a smart guy.
For sure.
He's just like, if you want to send a guy into an account and have him kick the door in and get you 3 taps, it's Brandon.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. You know,
he was like the mayor of Fort Worth. It was pretty great.
it's all about relationships, man. You know, it's the relationships, and it's doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you get into that world, especially in beer, but in sales in general, man. Like when you show up, you know, and they're like, wow.
Well, that's the word. That's what I was about to say. That's the biggest thing in sales. Show up.
Well, it's funny how many times you'd go into a place and they'd be like, well, we've never seen anybody from y'all. Like, okay, like, well, I'm not just going to put you on. All right, I'll be here next week, same time. Like, we'll see. Then you show up, damn, really? Then you show up again next week. They're like, okay. And then probably about 3 or 4 weeks in,
leave me alone
all
here.
right, yeah. They're like, what do you want? Like, well, I'd like to go from 1 SKU to 2. Is that cool? I mean, really, I want 4, but if I can just get 2, then we'll call it a day. And
Game of
like,
inches.
I can do that for you, man. You keep showing up, cool. I mean, that's really what it is.
This is hot.
In
How do you
life.
drink that so fast?
I mean, these guys are alcoholics. Look at you guys.
Hey,
Jesus.
hey.
You're drinking whiskey and beer.
Hey,
you go, we're on a.
I'm very
we're recording
impressed.
this.
At least we didn't talk about other things today. We're pretty PG
we're not
today.
getting in that.
He's been super quiet
he didn't
today.
cuss,
I don't think no cussing. I'm talking about
I'm just listening.
all kinds of things.
I'm a good
You know,
listener.
like
Yeah, man.
I said Magnum.
No, I never told the story about the paint.
Yeah, you did.
Why the paint, the color coordination.
color paint. Yeah, right.
So you'd think it's him because he's a Cowboy fan. So I'm a Raider fan.
Silver and black.
Me and my dad, we're the
Every other color in this
the
place is
GC's like, hey, what colors do you guys want? And I'm like, he asked us, and we're just like, all right, this one and this one. The reason we picked the gray was like a Sherwin-Williams color of the year, paint of the year last year.
Yeah,
2 years
iron
ago.
ore. Yep.
What is it? Is
gray.
this?
It's
Repose.
Repose.
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's the name of it.
Yeah, Repose
Okay,
gray.
I thought maybe it was agreeable gray, but
But it kind of looks white.
Yeah.
It's light. And so then we went with the blue, and then we walked in one day and we're like, man, did you know this is Cowboys colors? Me and my dad looked at each other like, mother. It was just
awesome.
That's when
And he just was laughing at it.
I was just cracking up because, so he texted me, like I took a vacation literally the week before shutdown. I went to Colorado. I had this like booked, like, you know, took my kids to Colorado and we went skiing, and he texted me like I left my phone at the hotel or whatever, went skiing, comes back, he texts me, hey, what color you want the walls painted? I get back, never mind. We painted them blue. We decided on blue. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, so I'm waiting to come back to see what like colors the. Awesome. And I walk in, I'm like, all right. We're putting a cowboy flag up in here or what?
I'll say this. I'm not going to force Raiders on people. We understand where we are.
This isn't 1983.
Hey, Viva Los Vaqueros, baby.
Yeah, so Viva Los Vaqueros is actually coming back. So that's gonna. I can't wait till we get the label out. That's going to be crazy. We might get a C&D, but we're going to have a little man that runs the Cowboys on our label looking like Yosemite Sam going crazy. The big dome. It's going to be pretty fun. It's our Mexican lager. We were supposed to do a Wolf Hunter for Leighton, but we never really got to it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking we should do something else with that, like an IPA or something.
I think so.
You should.
But I support like Dallas sports teams. I'm a Raider fan, but I still support them.
Like,
there you go.
Almost like this.
I like that.
I like it. You could do like a red beer and call it Dak's Ankle.
There's your sports.
Yeah, there's some sports. How do you like them apples? There's some sports.
That's badass. All right, guys. Appreciate it, man, for real. Thanks for sitting down again doing this.
It was always a pleasure.
It is.
Thanks, fellas.
Y'all come back. You're here.
Oh, I'll be back. You got to come out.
Yeah,
man.
I'll be back probably.
Took me a helicopter ride to get here today.
I come out here at least every 2 weeks.
I have to take the helicopter every day.
True that.
All right, there they are. Our boys from False Idol Brewing in North Richlands Hills. Check them out. They're doing really, really great stuff. Great place, great beers. Appreciate it, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Clink.
Cheers to my empty glass.
That's bad luck.
No, that is bad luck.
It is bad luck.
What's wrong with you?
I drank it. It was good.
Thanks to everybody for listening to the Jam Session podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Jam Session Cast. We're also available for you on our YouTube channel, and you can subscribe today by searching Jam Session Podcast. And of course, as always, on Twitter at McMattRadio, at JJT_journalist. Thanks to Purple Elephant Music for the music you hear at the end and beginning of each episode. He is the radio and TV star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor, and I'm just a guy, Matt McLaren. Please remember, tell some friends, check out the Jam Session podcast, subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll catch you next time on the Jam Session podcast, available everywhere you listen to podcasts.